Hey guys, welcome to episode 150 of 4-Player Animecast. I am your host, Spire, and we are finally back here with none other than your standard dose of anime reviews. We are, I guess, done with the roundhouse or round table. I keep saying roundhouse. Round table discussions right now, and we are going into the summer 2020 reviews. I believe we have three or so podcasts left for summer 2020 before we have to start covering the fall 2020 season preview stuff. But since you know a lot of these series are starting to mesh together in terms of their schedule due to the global events, fall 2020's preview is more going to be a line of a couple things that some studios have finally managed to, mesh together, so on and so forth. I don't think it's going to be anything huge or impressive or even up to standard far. So we'll see how it goes. Anyways, as per usual, I am your host, Spire, joining you on this lovely summer evening. And with me are my usual compatriots, Near,
Hi.
Dark,
Hey.
and Toast.
Uh,
Toast is dead. But
what? Oh,
yes,
what is it?
hello.
What's the thing I usually say?
Don't you usually just toot your quarter?
Hey, what is it? What is it? What's the famous greeting now?
I don't know what the famous greeting is, Toast. Is this
What?
some sort of secret society thing? What are you talking about?
Otskaron? Yeah, that's the one, right? Yeah.
What?
Sure.
All right. Anyways, we are again, as we said, back with the summer 2020 reviews. This time we're going to be, I mean, even though we say it is the middle of the season and everything, there are still the status of most series are iffy to say the least. So we're probably going to be cover. So right now we're going to be covering a little bit more of some of the lighter series before we head on again to the stuff that I guess everybody wants to hear about. Stuff like Decadence. So, but yeah, before we head on,
Is it
how about
decadence or decadence?
Decadence,
Decadence.
as in
Dents and like
this chocolate is decadent, kind of
what?
decadent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
Yes.
play on
What
word.
about
Yes.
decadence? Is there no Fortnite dancing?
No, I don't. I don't believe that is the correct use.
Why not? You don't like Fortnite? What do you have against Tencent, Spire?
Everything. But yeah. Anyways, Dark. How have your past 2 weeks been?
Um, Past 2 weeks, not too eventful.
Okay.
Um,
I mean, most
just
things have
been
been quiet these days, right? It's not like people can up and just go somewhere. So
just been
Says
playing
yeah,
says you.
Grand Blue and Call of Duty,
Call
and
of Duty.
you know, owning Christian women on Twitter. Okay,
Based.
we're gonna talk mad shit about our guy Belial. So yeah, all I said was, if God's so cool, why did Belial help me uncap my Seraphix and caps my damage at 5,000? So I don't
Mhm.
die.
Okay. Okay.
I don't see
Too
God doing that.
true.
Hell, my
uh,
rolls have been pretty shit, so if anything, God's just
yeah.
making things worse.
What about you, Nier?
Um, hashtag overthrow God, you know? Um, I don't know. I've been alright. I mean, I kind of fell off of Shadowverse lately. Um, I've mostly been playing FGO, like, a lot because the summer event's going on. Um, I got some pretty cool rolls, you know? I got 5-star Summer Jean in 110 roll.
Mhm.
And then I got 4-star Summer Ushi in another role, which was pretty cool, even though she's not that great. My roles in Grand Blue have been garbage. because Mr. Cygames hates me, I guess.
Are you
And
aren't you usually on the Luxac side of things in terms
yeah,
of content?
usually, although
Yeah, well, fuck you.
it feels like a luck stack like super hard. Although it's weird, right? Because lately my luck has been like insane in FGO, right?
Mhm.
Like absolutely fucking ridiculous.
Right.
But in Grand Blue and in my Shadowverse packs and not so recently, but like in Arkanites, my rolls are trash. Like they suck ass. Um, so I don't
Goddess,
know. I don't
please.
know. I don't know what Fate's trying to tell me. But yeah. Other than that, I don't know. I've been trying to like slowly clear my backlog, but
Backlog of
of games.
okay.
But I have very tough time finishing games. I kind of like get halfway through and I'm like, yeah, I'll play something else.
It's
Yeah,
more
and then
like
he has to get forced at gunpoint to finish Devil May Cry for like 8
Yeah,
months.
it's a really bad habit of mine where I'll be really feeling a game and I'll play it a lot, and then I'll just play something else.
you'll just it's wait so I sometimes stop I stop like visual novels for instance a lot of time where it's like because I initially I'm like, oh, this will be interesting, and then like there'll come a point where me going through the visual novels is more like effort than the sort of quote unquote value or excitement I'm experiencing, right? In getting through it. Is it similar to that, or are you just distracted by some other shiny object?
Yeah, I think I just have like fucking ADD or something where I'm
You're just
just
like,
like,
oh man, another game. Shit.
yeah, I'm like, yeah, this game's fun. Oh, wait a minute, what's that game? Um, yeah, I'm like a fucking bird or something.
Uh,
But
Kodomo Mhm.
yeah. Um, I've been trying to clear out like some of the games that I haven't finished.
Mhm.
I'm trying to play. Uh, I've been trying to finish Sekiro, but
Mhm.
not been going well.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, other than
You
that,
gotta you gotta finish it so you can put up some screenshots for your Twitter, like
yeah,
everybody else is doing.
wow, and then I can go. Oh, just Sekiro should have had an easy mode.
Go so.
But yeah, uh, other than that, I haven't really been watching too much anime, largely because stuff is very slow right now.
Oh yeah.
Um,
I mean, you could be on a slow pace and still watch most things anyways at this.
yeah.
So
But yeah, that's about it for me. Just
okay,
watched. I caught up on Appare-Ranman, which I'll be talking
nice.
about.
Yeah. Toast.
What? Oh, it's my turn.
Yes.
What's the question?
How have your past 2 weeks been, Toast?
I don't know. What happened in the past 2 weeks? What happened?
Well,
What happened
I'm asking
globally?
your 2 weeks, not my
I
2 weeks.
don't. What
So.
happened in the
Globally?
world? Yeah.
Well,
Many things.
many things, yes.
Well, it probably affected me too.
What about the Beirut explosion? Did that affect you?
Yeah, because one of
Oh,
my
okay.
one of my one of my
Friends?
DFO events was a 20-question quiz, and one of the
What? I thought.
question was the capital of Lebanon is Beirut, yes or no? And
What the
apparently the answer is yes. That's how I learned of Beirut.
Oh my god.
And then it
Okay.
blew up.
Yeah.
Good
What
stuff.
what 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 a worldly phenomenon that happened there.
World phenomenon.
I don't know if
I
I'd
I don't think
don't.
that's how you use
describe them, you know,
that. I don't think
not
worldly is
taking
that.
proper precautions and storing 2,700 tons of ammonium nitrate.
Well, the quiz started.
Worldly.
When was the explosion? Like 2 days ago? 3 days ago?
It was a little bit longer than that, I think, right? Wasn't it like?
Really?
I think
Was
it
it?
was Monday, right?
It was.
Or Tuesday?
I don't know
I
how.
believe it was Monday or Tuesday.
It was
I
definitely a
think
couple. It was
Tuesday.
within this week. It was within this.
Well, the DFO quiz event started on July 21st. So think about that.
you're, you're trying to
Damn,
say
dude.
DFO caused the Beirut explosion. What are you trying
No,
to
how
say?
could you say that?
Oh, okay.
I just said it was a worldly phenomenon that happened.
I don't think I still
I
don't think you're using that.
Still not quite a worldly phenomenon.
I wouldn't
A
call
worldly
it.
phenomenon where you just happen to have a Russian transport ship stop in your harbor, run out of money, and you
Worldly
store
means
all their cargo for 6 years until it blows up.
worldly means worldly means common sense and like kind of being, word to the wise about things. You know what I mean? Like practical, right? I don't.
Are you
I'm
are
not
you
sure.
Yeah, I think
saying?
it can also mean like innately like natural as well.
Yeah, I don't think it's.
Well, Spire. If you didn't know, DFO is owned by Neopol, who lives on Jeju Island, and which is Korean based. So you tell me,
I don't think that
What
still has
does that
anything
have
to
to
do.
do with
tell
anything?
me, Korean man.
I'm sorry.
Damn, dude, he's got you
Anyways,
there.
Also,
it,
I forgot what I did in 2 weeks. Has it been 2 weeks?
just anything like
Yeah, You've
just
has
been
to be.
say like
playing the Data Live game.
Was
Right?
that 2 weeks ago? I don't know.
it
It's
started.
been within 2 weeks, I
Maybe.
think, right?
Yeah, I started Data Life Spirit Pledge. It sucks. Don't play it.
Yeah, that's what I thought. The gameplay looks like garbage.
Oh, who cares about the gameplay? I haven't gotten checking the Toka yet. This game sucks.
But
I don't know why you didn't reroll, bro.
Yeah,
I,
True.
I believe in fate.
also,
Grand Order.
I forgot if I said this last podcast, but the way that you know that fucking everybody in Data Live or everybody that's like, you know, that likes Data Live or whatever, like has seen Data Live, likes Kurumi, the goth girl, pretty much, is because the special pre-order like end like special bonus item is Kurumi's dress. So
You mean
I
yeah,
don't know.
the pre-launch registration? Yeah. Also,
Yeah,
she's also the game icon and the first event. So there you go.
Yeesh.
yeah.
But
Damn,
apparently
playing it
most
up
of the
there.
people I play with have like 300 ping. So I believe they're either like Mexican or Taiwan.
Wait, why does it matter if they have? Isn't it just like a quick like spam like units like standard RPG kind of thing?
I have to
That is
do
so tough.
online raid battles with them, and I have like 400, 500 ping. So I suspect they're definitely Spanish or Taiwanese. Also, most of the replies on the Data Life Spirit Pledge official English Twitter
I
is
just
in
like, oh,
yeah. So
that's pretty funny.
yeah.
Oh my god.
But yeah, this game sucks until I get Sheki no Toka. I don't want. I don't.
Also, I saw the fucking packs, like the prices. The price for the packs are like, what is it? It's like $2,177 or some shit like that, right? Or some
So
ridiculous number of money to get like the premium package, the premium
so
gacha package or whatever.
so what? What are you trying to say?
So
I'm just
what?
You're trying to say it ain't worth it or something?
the funny thing is, it's like, I've seen a lot of stupid shit where it's like, especially, because I play the Love Live mobile, or I used to play the Love Live mobile games. The most recent one, the All Stars one that finally came out. On the first day, I think I said this on the podcast too. It had all the gacha pack. It had like a shop page where it had like 3 to 6 different pages, and each page was literally packed to the gills with different like banners or ads that contain like different like gotcha pack discounts, right? So like one page would have like 5 different gotcha pack discounts where it's like, oh, you can pick for these girls, you can pick for these other girls, blah blah blah, and it has all these listings, and that's like 5 pages worth, and they're all like 35 to, I want to say, 7,700 plus dollars, right? To buy each of them.
Deal.
and I thought that was bad. And then I saw Toast Data Line thing that's like, yeah, the premium package is $2,100, by the way. Buy this. I'm like, can we?
Yeah, but I think that
Can we
also
be-
gets you like all those other
Yeah,
purchase
it's
bonus
it's
reward
just
tiers
it's just a
too.
top up bonus. So you
So
just
it's a
spend this
finish.
amount and you get this as bonus.
Yeah, you just casually spend $2,700 and you get all these funny little items.
None of them are
You get
Toka
to-
related, so I haven't.
I'm so happy
Yeah.
Grambley does not show me anything of like how much money I've dropped on.
The funny thing is, it's like usually like, I mean, one thing that the reason why, like part of the reason why jewels and stuff like that exist, right? Like in-game currency exists, is that they can control the sort of obviously like it's like you put it in and you can't get it back and stuff like that, right? But it's also they like it's a psychology thing, right? Because it's like they can control what it looks like, right? Because 200 jewels looks much better than say you just paid fucking $79.99. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they can control this, but literally just putting it because like on that picture, it just literally has a price, right? It doesn't have you have to pay 500 jewels, you have to pay 400 jewels. It just says no, pay me 2,700 US dollars.
Yeah, but I mean, if you love Kurumi, then someone who did won't be that mad about that. So
Yeah.
what are you gonna do? You know?
It reminds me of those the pay one of those like those so like I was uh there was this fucking one weird cam girls Patreon site, right? Or whatever. Like it's not a cam girl, what was it? It was probably a cam girl. I don't know. Like they like those two are people who do like the stuff and the Instagram things, like all of them at the same time, right? So it's pretty much a cam girl. So
You mean my only fans account?
yeah, that too. So
Yours?
yeah, you know how they have all those like tiers and stuff like that, right? And
Yes.
it's like $5 per month, $10 per month, and it goes up to like exorbitant, like 50, $100 or whatever, right? Like what I thought, right, was that they would just and like for the people who like buy these things, right? They would only like they would all go for the cheapest one to get like the minimum amount of just like access or whatever, right? Because it's like the end game stuff is just like kind of silly, right? For a lot of these things, for both like the mobile game stuff, but also for these can't go whatever things, right? It's like usually the $50 tiers or $100 tiers are just like you get like 2 signed posters or whatever it is or
This guy
whatever,
doesn't want
right?
to support small businesses. He just wants to
It's
get
not-
off and leave.
Yeah, exactly. So what I was thinking was that okay, all the $5 tiers and like the $10 tiers will be sold out before like the $100, right? But it's really weird because it's like what ends up happening is like there's like a significant number of people who buy like the bare minimum, right? And then there are like the $50, the $100 like top tier is all sold out. I'm just like, what the what?
It's premium content, dude.
Yeah, I mean that's
Called
like
supply and demand, bro.
that's like Kickstarters. Like who always the top end tiers and
Oh my
the fucking lowest end tiers are the first to go.
Yeah, I
'Cause
just
you just
didn't
have a
expect that
mass of
either.
people who are just like, yeah, all right, I just want to buy the thing.
Yeah,
And you
I
have
guess
the
I
sick
should.
fucks that just
Yeah, yeah. It should be like the. I guess I should because it's like in Dota, it's kind of similar where for like the tournament package, the international battle package and stuff like that, right? You always have like the Chinese, the Saudi Arabian, like the nouveau rich people who get 1,000 levels on these packages and get literally everything that's possible to get in the package and stuff like that. So I guess I should have expected that, but it was still I don't know. But yeah, sorry for going on a tangent, Toast. But so you played Data Live and what is it? Kind of
What? Oh, what else?
saw worldly events. Saw worldly events in the past 2 weeks. Is what
What
you want
else?
to say?
Oh, speaking of worldly events, get ready for next week. Yeah,
Monk ass, dude.
yeah.
oh, what's next week?
Don't you should know, Dark. It's next week.
No,
Next
bro.
week is next week.
What's
I don't know.
Next week is their debut.
Oh,
You
of
you
the
you
new
excited?
Hololivers?
You excited? I'm excited.
I
I'm
should I should
I'm
should
sort
probably
of
be more
disappointed
now.
that they're not the English ones yet, but I can see why.
You
I
know
don't.
the English ones are
I literally never want them to debut like ever.
Why?
like,
Why you hate the English Spire or near? Is it
yeah,
be?
I hate English. Sorry.
It,
Wait, what's
what?
what your prior deal is? In chat said, did you guys talk about the act age drama? Oh, it's this. Oh yeah, I've heard about that. Yep. Yeah, I heard about it. Sorry, we'll talk about it later. Anyways, go on, Toast.
I'm hoping on Lammy and Botan. I hope they're good. They're all gonna be good, but I hope they're really good.
I actually fucking despise that people are calling her Botan instead of Shishiro.
I forgot that part. Do you call Inugami Korone Inugami?
I mean, it depends on what like the general like community calls her. Sometimes people call people by their last names, and sometimes it's by
Yeah,
their
Wrecker.
first names. Right?
Yeah, I
Yes, that's right.
call her Rone.
Yeah.
Call her Ron.
But yeah, I mean, sometimes like sometimes like for instance, there's like Morinaka and stuff like that. But you know, there's different. Sometimes people use last names, sometimes people use. Anyways, I do want to finish off the introductions real quick because it's been going on for way too
Spire,
long.
what have
But
you been doing?
yeah, I haven't been up too much. There's a lot of real. I'll,
How's the dating game?
the,
The actual dating game, not Data Live.
you
How
know,
is your romantic life?
I don't really. Uh, so I don't. There's not much of that going on, especially since I'm probably relocating in a couple of weeks. So
Are you also relocating the Hollow Live house?
yes, I am. I'm dropping it right in there. Sarah dropping in there. But yeah, there's not been too much going on.
What
With the
about your
city.
dating Sims game instead? And any new good ones?
So interesting that you asked that. I believe one of the usually being the visual novel studio that makes a lot of these dungeon crawler RPG intensive visual novels, like Kamidori Alchemy Meister being, I believe, the most famous one. Uh,
Not Runes Pharmacy? I thought that was a
uh,
famous one.
well, most of H.L.E.'s stuff is pretty famous, but I think the most famous one is probably Kamidori. Uh,
Where's the anime of that? Runes Pharmacy got an anime.
um, say, but one of their other games, I believe, Kami no Rhapsody, has been fully translated. And I did start up the game, but one thing that really bugs me is that it what is it? It has full screen versus windowed, but windowed mode you can't change the size, the resolution, or you can't change the size at all, pretty much. And if you have it on windowed, you can't use the mouse to press the buttons properly. So I don't know what's going on with that, but it's very it's very interesting. I don't know if there's like a patch for that out somewhere, but I'll have to see. But it's getting in the way so far because I don't want to be full screening, Alt tab full screening that shit every time. Other than that, there's not been too much going on. I've been doing the usual, just doing real life stuff, watching some anime, and also I've been trying to get back into. I mean, the thing is, like recently, I've been getting, I've been reading some like manga and stuff like that, but it's like these days I almost want to just start diving into shotatsu and just reading light novels by myself, just like
Yikes,
raw
bro.
stuff. But I know,
Come join us, Spire.
but I know it's also the moment I do that, I'm pretty much stuck in the lowest level of hell. You guys know what I mean? Because
No.
this is this is this is the where all of the filth comes from, right? That's existing right now. It's just I don't know if I want to fully dive into that, but we'll see.
Spire, you gotta find us the really cool ones.
Like what?
The really cool ones, you know. I well, I need more really weird light novels.
The problem is I want to say and something along the lines of what Toast said, and part of why I always shit on uh light novels and web novels and stuff like that the way I do is that when we talk about weird series, right? What eh, there's like a thing on. So when Western anime people are like, this is a weird when somebody says this is a weird light novel or this is a weird visual novel, or this is a weird manga, or whatever it is, right? Even manga readers, obviously. What they think of when people say weird is something like Azumanga Daioh, Cowboy Bebop, stuff like that. Something that's just like wonky, off the walls, humor, kind of like casual, whatever it is, right? It's just something wonky. When I say weird, and I'm talking about light novels, web novels, shosetsu, and you guys might all kind of know where I'm heading with this, is weird is the absolute scum of Japanese otaku sort of fan fiction dumb. You guys know what I'm talking about? It's like one example might be like it's legit just like boarding onto like weird hentai stuff. You know what I mean? Where it's like there'll be like a light novel that's just like, oh, I hypnotized my childhood friend into becoming my fucking sex slave for like 60 days or whatever it is, and that'll literally just be a light novel shows. Just, I mean, yes, it's like the stuff like that is on fanfiction.net, but it's 2020, guys. Like, and that stuff is like still popular in shosetsu. I don't think you guys understand what I mean when I say like what we mean when we say weird stuff on shosetsu. It's like that. It's very, 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 very degenerate. It's nothing like it's not like I'm not talking about some comedic slice of life, wow, haha, kind of stuff. I mean, stuff that you would have to clear your history to not get caught by people if you read it. It's that sort of stuff. So that's what I'm always afraid of when I delve into shosetsu, because there are probably okay things, there are probably okay isekais, there are popular stuff, and whatever, but there are also very, 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 very degenerate stuff, like partly because obviously again shosetsu is the fanfiction.net of Japan, and also because it's Japan, right? So that's always what I'm afraid of. But yeah, I haven't been up to too much, kind of lulling about want to get back into reading manga, maybe light novel. I'll finish. Probably find a way to kind of grind through Kamino Rhapsody, but we'll see. Anyways, without further ado, we should start off, and I am starting off, I guess, on the topic of degeneracy. My series is called The Titan's Bride, also known in Japanese as Kyojinzoku no Hanayome. It is a manga original. It is a yaoi manga. It is an isekai yaoi manga. I believe that makes it better somehow.
Uh-huh.
And it got anime adapted by some smaller companies
Are
as
you
part of,
winning,
I believe,
son?
a project. I believe it's done by the same people who did the sexy firefighter series and like Overflow and stuff like that before. And then this is actually, by the way, this is actually on YouTube and Nico Nico Doga. So it's not, it's very weird. It's still yaoi. It's like it still has the implied like I'm gonna take you to my bed kind of stuff, right? But it's on YouTube too, which I don't know what's going on with that. So the basic premise is that the main character, Mizuki Koichi, is a basketball player who is summoned into another world, and this world is like supernatural, has giants and whatever. And then there's this giant who's like the prince of the kingdom, Caius or whatever his name is, who asks this basketball player to be his bride. But they're both males, and then things happen in this series. I guess it's a short series, by the way. It's like 4 minutes long or something like that. 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes long. Oh wait, okay. episodes that are broadcast on the digital distribution platform calling fast anime. So on the original platform, there's like the uncensored version, and then there's like censored / sexually explicit content removed versions on Tokyo MX, YouTube, and Nico Nico. So I guess that's how it is. There's like two versions of it. The safe quote unquote question mark version, the not safe one.
Damn, dude, so you're missing out.
Yeah, I really. It's very weird because I only watched the YouTube one for obvious reasons because it's commonly available, and then it's a very interesting way to view it because it's like we talked about Did I ever talk to you guys about that one visual novel on Steam that was about the Kemono Mimi girls, the animal ear girls, right? The Mikos, and it was supposed to be this like Nuki this like eroge, right? But then they removed all of the sex scenes, but the sex scenes were like all of the anime or all of the game, right? so so the game just ended up being like them playing around for 10 minutes and then the game is over, right? Or something like that.
Nice.
Nice.
This is pretty much how that is. It's very weird because they the anime starts off as, oh, view in my bed, and then and then the Titan's just like, actually no, I'm just gonna wait until you start liking me again, or until you start liking me or whatever, and then he just spends time in the kingdom, like the Japanese dudes just start spending time in the kingdom next to the prince and the other characters in the cast, and I think the writer is trying to go for this like the standard, Stockholm syndrome kind of Beauty and the Beast. He seems very he seems very scary at first, but once you get to know him, he's really friendly. Maybe I will let him, maybe I will let him
Scooping you
in,
open.
right? Yeah, exactly. Maybe I will let him scoop me up, kind of thing, right? So I think that's what the writer is going for, but that's not it's not exactly novel, right? We've seen this a bunch of times in a lot of yaoi, shoujo, whatever series, right? So I'm not exactly impressed by it. I'm not exactly sure why we're talking about, its literary merits in the first place, but sure. But also, what was I gonna say? Again, because it's very the YouTube version of it has the sexual content removed, right? It's very weird because it's like there are scenes where there are like parts of the scene that or like beginning and the end of like episodes and stuff like that where it's obviously trying to lead into some sort of like um it's obviously trying to lead into some sort of like yaoi scene. Right? Like, oh, they're going to be in bed together or they're going to do something together, right? But then it just like skips to another scene. You know what I mean? It just cuts. It just like it's like next day. I'm just like, okay. but the thing is, because it's like if I remember correctly, for most of like a lot of Yahweh series, right? There's a lot of dialogue and um like things going on right during these like smut scenes, right? Like that's how it is, right? Like because on Twitter
Wouldn't
there's
know,
always like
bro.
those because on Twitter there are always those scenes where it's like they're always like they're talking as they're doing it, right? So if I
Yeah, as
remember
bros do.
yeah, as bros do when they're crossing streams, right?
Yeah, when you're having a little sword fight with your bro, you give each other dap, you talk about how your days are.
Start talking about Milton and just poems, 80s poems. Um, but so I think there's a decent amount of that that's also probably gone, and that probably removes a lot of the character development, if I may say so, right? So it's very weird. It's honestly the YouTube version is honestly the worst of both worlds, I think, because for yaoi, for the people who are not into yaoi, they're just like, oh, this is yaoi. All right, this is okay, whatever, and then they go away, right? But then the people who are into yaoi see the YouTube version and they're like, this doesn't have anything in it. It is very empty. It's like more empty than a lot of the standard sort of ecchi series. Like, for instance, in this season, Monster Musume no Oisha-san, right? and stuff like Peter Grill, so on and so forth, right? It's much less than a lot of that. So it's very empty. It's the YouTube version is like a husk of itself. I have a feeling I know probably what the uncensored version looks like, the explicit version looks like, but I'm not keen to watch it, so it's whatever.
Hey,
Why not,
Spire,
bro?
if you watch it, I'll watch it, okay? We can be bros together.
I don't know about that, but yeah. That's pretty much all I had for now. Titan's Bride isn't really worth watching. I wouldn't recommend it. I don't know what else to say about the series.
Why, Spire? Do you hate the love between a man and a giant?
I thought you were about to say, do you hate the gays? It just ended at
Wow,
that.
how can you say that?
I
Damn,
feel
dude.
like that was the
Giants
thing
are
that
people
you
too.
say. I feel like that was the thing that you say, man.
Do you
Anyways,
think
don't
I would
watch
take that low-hanging fruit?
it.
Yeah.
Get it? Because they're big.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Toast. But anyways, I am done reviewing this. Don't watch it. So on and so forth. Next.
What if I want to? I'll be devil's advocate and say you should watch it if you're into that kind of thing.
Yeah, if you are in that hole already, no pun intended, you should probably just watch it. Anyways, next, not into a much better series. Dark, do you want to talk to
Speaking
us
of
about?
All right,
monsters,
you're a liar. Okay, it is
All
a
right,
much better series,
can
sir.
I say something
I'll
about
have you know.
Can I say something about the series that Dark has watched? Look,
it's
I enjoyed watching the series, but
First of all,
if
the
you
series I watched, Monster Musume no Oisha-san. Okay.
yeah, okay. So can I just say something? Okay, look, I'm not saying that I don't like watching the series. What I do want to say though is that you know how there's always this meme when we always kind of talk about how hentai has this like people talk about like hentai has like the ghetto like animations, right? Like the hentai OVAs and stuff like that, right? Because obviously
Yeah.
they're not made by large studios or anything like that, right? This anime is the closest I've seen to like a mainstream sort of ish anime looking like a hentai series. Can I just say
what
that?
about
Yeah,
what?
it is.
Oh,
It
okay.
is strange because it's like
It
it's
is
not.
very
I don't think it's bad. Like I don't think
except
it
for the
looks
3D, except for the 3D.
bad. Like
Yeah.
while it, yeah, like while like as far as like all the 2D art goes, like I don't think it's like bad
Yeah,
quality,
it's
but
not
it does
bad.
have a style where you're walking into
It's
it
much
thinking it's going
stronger
to be
lines. Yeah.
explicit.
The
Like
lines are much stronger than you expected, and you're like,
yeah.
What kind of weird anime have you
So
guys been watching?
Ugh.
Like,
so I watched Monster Musume no Aisha-san, and it's about a doctor who essentially just goes around in a world that's like post-human and like monster humanoid wars.
Yeah, it's just a setup,
Uh,
right? But,
yeah, and so he's like uh, a human physician that's studied like medicines for monsters, essentially for all different types of humanoid monsters.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that just generally turns into like semi like lewd scenes of him just like helping out these monster girls.
Yeah, yeah. And then
Uh,
the main Lamia the his assistant, the nurse, the Lamia nurse, is always like jealous. It's a very standard,
yeah,
setup. Yeah.
so you kind of just run that gambit, but again, like as with most Monster Girl like series, and in this case too, like the
Yeah.
whole medical like sort of gimmick to it kind of adds is just like the general what would you call that? Um, physiology, I guess you'd say. Like,
Trivia about Monster Girls. So.
yeah, trivia about like monster girls and just like the certain
Mhm.
like the monster aspects of it and everything. So
Right.
like that's more fun than not. The audio visuals are a little awkward at times, but it
Yeah,
doesn't look
as
like
we talked about.
super bad. Like it doesn't look super bad. So I don't really have much complaints about that or like the music. I think the audio itself is fine. Like there's been nothing in it that's like taken me out of it.
hmm
Um, and overall, like story wise, I mean, I guess like there's certain like they're trying to set up certain things, but you know,
I also want to say that the cast for like Monster Girl, Monster Musume no Oisha-san is like, when I saw the cast for a second, I was just like, oh, there's a lot of like kind of newer people, and then some like, and then like in the middle of it's like Yukana, and, and fucking like kind of Hisaka and stuff like that, and like super veterans and stuff like that. And I believe the main is Onishi Saudi, who's obviously doing a lot of roles. But what I realized is I clicked through a lot of these roles, right? A lot of these people, and these people are pretty much like the upcoming sort of who's who of sort of female voice actors. It's because it's like they've been doing a lot of roles in stuff like Zombieland Saga and a lot of other sort of cool series that are they've been taking all these main roles, and they're pretty decent like veterans in their own right. So it's pretty interesting to see where I was just like, oh, these aren't the usual, Kitamura Eddie, Hikasa Yoko, whoever, right? And but they're all like heavy hitters. So it was pretty interesting. But yeah, that was just my little voice actress otaku spiel. But do uh oh yeah. Since says in chat, wasn't there a manga series with this exact same premise, but instead of the guy as doctor, some the mono eye monster girl? Yeah, there is. I think it's Hitomi-san, I think, or something. Hitomi-san,
That sounds
something
about
like
right.
that.
Yeah.
Hitomi, yeah. Uh, yeah, I don't know what it is. It was like but yeah. Did you have any last sort of comments, Dark?
No, no. I mean, I would say it's definitely not. Uh, it's not like the most standout and like best series, but if you're looking for just like something with, like Monster Girl trivia and stuff like that, it's not like bad, right? So it's not it's not like super standout, but it's certainly not a bad series if that's what you're looking for to begin with. And I think overall it's pretty all right. It's got
Yeah,
some
as
pretty
long as you
fun
don't
stuff.
mind as long as you don't mind the animation style.
Yeah, I like the aesthetic of it. If
Yeah, I
you,
don't think that. Again, I agree with Dark. I don't think there's anything like inherently bad with it, but it's just like when you notice it and you've seen, say, hentai OVAs and stuff like that, and that before you're just like, this seems, this seems
yeah,
suspicious.
yeah. So overall, it's been pretty good. Uh, hopefully it gets some more like, I don't know. I want to see like more out there
Mm-hmm.
Monster Girls, but I guess we'll see if it covers really much of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, oh yeah. The whole gimmick too is that like the main character is just so absorbed in his work when he's in it that he doesn't even realize that anything
Yeah, I
he's
mean that's
doing would
that's
be
that's
suggestive.
yeah, again another sort of standard
So it's
way to.
basically it's like the good doctor, right? He's just a doctor with like crippling
Yeah,
autism who just focuses
yeah.
on his work and
I mean that's the only way to get through these sorts of series in an episodic manner, right?
yeah, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
and like he
and
drinks, the Lammy drinks, and then they get drunk, and then they go to work,
yeah.
whatever.
Anyways.
I want to see more. If it does wind up doing a bit more like relationship between the two as like assistant and doctor along
The
with
issue
like
is that takes
some
time away
background.
from like
Yeah,
a
it takes
monster
time
girl.
away from just going and running
And that's
around
just
and
too
just
easy,
repairing
right?
other monster
Exactly.
girls.
It's just too easy to do
So
that and get value from that.
yeah, so I guess we'll see. They're doing not like a crazy great job, but they're doing like they're managing from like the 5 episodes I watched like to weave in a decent amount of that, which is good. But as with like most of these series, I'd like to see more of a focus on like sort of like the doctor aspect of it and trivia aspect more so than
more monster girl trivia, right?
yeah,
I mean
than just like
that's
running
always the thing.
around and doing that. And
Mhm.
because it's like you can easily weave in just the Monster Girl trivia and the sort of two main characters more so
Mhm.
than the side characters, but then I guess that
You know,
does kind
what
of take away from like the harem-esque like aspect of it.
you know what I'm kind of, or not even kind of, really afraid of, honestly, um, is I'm kind of looking a little bit into the future with this, right? Kind of the long picture. But so when we talk about Monster Girl, right, and we have these Monster Girl series, there's not a billion different Monster Girls, right? It's usually the standard cast, the high fantasy cast: centaurs, elves, orcs, dwarves, slime
Yeah,
girls, whatever, stuff like that, or mermaids,
mermaids,
stuff like that, right?
fucking
So, and not only that, they're not.
cyclops, zombie.
Yeah, they're not. The anime, each episode of the anime is only so long, and these people that are writing it aren't physiologists. They're not physicians, right? They're not doctors, so they're not like gonna go into super detail, and they're all gonna sort of start saying the same thing about the trivia, right? Like, this is how maybe you have to clean the centaur's hooves, or you have to ride the centaur this way, or something like that, right? So what I'm afraid of is in the future, as more and more sort of trivia scenes in Monster Girl anime start coming out, then these trivia scenes will start losing value, right? And then Monster Girl series will be sort of stuck in this weird spot where, unless they do this sort of grand tale of, maybe a guy traveling with monster girls, and then something like Mao Yu, where, or Mao no Yusha, yeah, Mao to Mao no Yusha, right? Where he kind of goes on like an adventure with these monster girls, and then kind of like does stuff with different factions, or something very deep like that. Unless that sort of stuff happens, I believe that Monster Girls series in the future will end up in this weird rut where they can't, if they do too much ham on like the edgy stuff, it's just like, oh, whatever, you're just doing the same stuff, right? But then if they do the
Yeah.
trivia, they'll also be doing essentially the same stuff. So
Well, I
how
think
they're.
it depends on how you tackle it, right? The thing that I would say in that aspect would be you need to find a combination of how you're going to twist it, essentially. The
What do you
problem
mean by
with a
that?
show like Monster Musume no Oisha-san is not only is it Monster Girls, but it's Monster Girls in like a high fantasy, like medieval setting.
Mhm.
So there's nothing like unique you can do there. Like there's no real
Right,
societal aspects you can do that we
Yeah,
haven't
that's what I'm
seen.
talking
There's
about.
no
Like when I talk
twist on
about
it.
factions and stuff like that.
Yeah, so as an example of like what I think did it really well would
Mhm.
be Demi-chan. Like Demi-chan set up like
Mm,
this is a like
cool, right?
contemporary setting with like just like monster hybrid people,
Hmm.
and like they're extremely rare, and even amongst them there's even rarer ones, and like here's how they would fit into like that. Here's like different myths essentially that came up about them and whatnot.
Right,
And
right.
I feel like that series in particular kind of like should be used as an example of like
And
if
the
you
Monster
want to.
Girls can kind of, like, in that series, although in Demi-chan most of the interactions are still with like the professor and like the sort of central cast. If they so wanted to, like how they kind of showed with the when the principal came, and then they were talking about kind of they had the other kids in the school kind of like stick up for the girls, or like talk about like bullying or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Um, if they so chose, they could involve other people in the school environment, which is a nice thing to have, right?
Yeah,
Is
because you
is
want to get like outside perspective as well in a series like that,
mm-hmm,
and just in general, like so if you just essentially, I feel like a good first step is just change up the world setting, right? Like the world itself. Don't make it like a just a pretty standard high fantasy setting, you know? Like you
mm-hmm,
could do Monster Girls in like a dozen different settings, and you would have at least a semi compelling setup for that, and then go from there.
mm-hmm.
And you would just wind up naturally having, being able to think of just more ways to introduce different types of trivia or how they would fit into that world,
Right,
rather
right.
than just like, like, oh, how does a centaur fit into, like medieval world where they're like a rich fucking company and she's an Ojo-sama. It's like, well, how do you think? Like,
Yeah.
Well, we all know how they're gonna
What
fit
about-
into the
what about-
world. They're fucking
what
horses
about
that can
this?
also attack. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
It's like, what about this high fantasy feudal world? It's like, all right, can we?
yeah. It's like, what if a horse could wield a lance? Like, okay, cool. What the fuck do you think would happen? You would use them as cavalry.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Oh my god. Anyways,
Very cool. But yeah, so this series itself, it's not that bad. But if you're sick of like monster, like decently standard Monster Girl trivia, then you obviously want to look somewhere else.
Right.
This isn't gonna. This really isn't gonna introduce anything new about these Monster Girls that you've never seen before. It's just gonna be a decently fun watch if you just like to see different characters and character designs interact and whatnot.
Right.
But yeah, you know, maybe hey, maybe one day we'll get Demi Chan season 2. But
Yeah.
till then, we'll have to make do. You know.
Anyways, thank you, Dork, for helping cover Monster Musume no Oisha-san. And Toast, what about you? What do you have for us?
What? Oh. Hello, there we go. It's me!
It is you. Would you like to tell us about what you watched?
Not really. It sucked.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I feel him. I watched the first episode.
Would
I
you like
get
to
it.
tell us what it is?
I forgot the English name.
So did I.
Yeah.
Oh, Academy, Demon King Academy or something like that.
The misfit of Demon King Academy. I'll tell you
yeah.
what it's not. It's definitely not as good as Rocket Aikishi, I'll tell you that. It's also, or what is that other show with the misfit? With misfit guy that got like 2 seasons and a PSO2 collab?
Oh God, dude, why'd you
What
have
is-
to bring this up? The
What's it called?
irregular in Magic High.
Thank you, that's the one.
Mahoka, yeah.
Or what is it?
Fucking
Version. Yeah.
Or the bastard at Magic School at Magic Academy. Why does everyone have such bad names for their main characters in an academy? Why can't everyone just get along?
Well, I mean, there's another aspect of it too that I'm sure you'll get into as well. Is if they're
Well,
like, oh, he's
alright.
a misfit. Why is he a misfit? Because he's so fucking cool.
Because he's got that Kirito syndrome, you know? He's that cool guy with black hair, but he wears white instead, so it contrasts with his hair. I wish I was that cool. Anyway, where was I going? So, this show. There's this Demon King, alright? Demon King. Oh my god, I don't like this name. Anos Voldemort.
Well, we'll just go with Voldemort, I guess.
King Voldemort. He 2000 years ago, he's like, all right, this sucks.
Anos Voldemort, I believe. Yeah.
So
he's voiced by the person who most famously did Yuji in Bakuto Test. The guy who has Sakamoto Yuji in Bakuto Test.
Who?
The guy who's like angry sidekick, right? The screaming angry sidekick.
No.
Yeah. Anyways, keep
Oh,
going.
you mean the red guy? Okay.
Yes.
What? Okay. So he's all like, 2000 years ago, he's all like, this sucks. I'm gonna die now. So he kills himself to
Based.
to build a wall between the 4 races of what is it, human, spirit, heaven, and demon world. So he builds this wall, right? And he's like, this wall will last for 1,000 years, but I'll reincarnate in 2,000 years. Okay? And then he shows up as a baby.
Seems like a bad plan. Why would he not?
So, you know, he's supposed to do that so all the races would stop fighting each other for a while and learn to get along. But then 2,000 years later, he wakes up and he's a baby. And his parents are like, what's your name? And he's all like, my name is Anos Voldegard. In his normal voice, and the parents are like, what the heck is wrong with this baby? Then 1 month later, he's what, 17 years old, 15 years old? He uses that age progression magic tag that everyone loves. So yeah, he's only a month old, but he's now 15. Then he's all like, I'm gonna go to Magic Demon Academy and prove that I am the reincarnated Demon Lord, because there was a prophecy that the Demon Lord would reincarnate 2,000 years later, and now they're having this sort of Demon School Academy tryouts to see who the real Demon King is. And he shows up and he's all like, it's me. And everyone else is like, no, you aren't. You suck. Then he fights some dudes. And he uses some legendary lost ancient magic, and they're all like, whoa, where'd this guy learn that? But they're still all like, you're not the real Demon King. Because you're a misfit. You're a half-breed because you're half human or whatever.
I fucking remember that I actually did read this before. I believe it was it's a light novel / web novel original, right? Or what? Is it?
It's a light novel, yeah.
Yeah. I remember this. Fucking. Anyways, keep going.
So he's all like, yeah, I'm the real Demon King. Everyone else is like, no, you're not. You're a half-breed non-royalty, and then he proves them wrong. But no one believes him or wants to acknowledge it because they're too prideful, even though he uses revival magic and time stop magic and other cool stuff that no one else has. So they're dumb.
Yeah, what I don't get about this series is that it starts off like 5 minutes into episode 1, and it's just like, oh yeah, by the way, you can do anything.
I mean,
So I don't know where this series is like even trying to go.
There's a lot they skipped in the first episode. There's a
So
lot
you
of
don't-
backstory that only comes out in the second, but it's like 5 seconds worth. So it's like, okay, I guess it's not important, even though it kind of
Any
is.
backstory or not, they open up in a fight where he just fucking makes a guy explode over and over again and revives him, and it's like, you
Wow,
can
he's
just
so
snap his
strong.
fingers and kill anyone. Like, where is this series supposed to go?
It's supposed to show how he's the real Demon King, but no one acknowledges him. But so he has to prove them wrong.
Yeah, but it's like, is the extension then what I'd ask you is the extension then essentially for the series just him proving them wrong by just like instantly destroying or dismantling and
yeah.
just essentially being completely fucking overpowered every time he's questioned.
In one of the episodes, he fights these. What is this? He fights one of his servants from 2,000 years ago, who's like a demon lord now. And the dude's all like, I'm gonna stop this ancient ritual of unbirthing or something. And then he's like, I'm gonna kill you. And then he stops. He uses the god of time to stop him or whatever, and he kills Anos. But then Anos revives, and he's all like, even god of time cannot stop me. And then kills the guy or something. And I'm like, wow, you're cool. Then he revives him, and he's all like, oh man, my bad. You're the real Demon King. But apparently, we learned that someone has altered the past somehow and changed his name, so Anos isn't the Demon King, but the Demon King's name is Avos instead. So there's this big plot about who messed with the past. Samurai Jack.
Can I say something?
What?
You said that this series was better than Rocketei Kishi.
No, I said it's not as good as Rocketei Kishi.
Okay. I just wanted to see who was on the bottom of the trash can here. But
of what is it? Not isekai, but somewhat isekai high school life with a bad word in the title.
I guess. But
I don't know.
Can I just say that I guess this is the relevance of what I said at the beginning of this specific episode of podcast, right? Or during the intro about an hour ago when I was talking about how I was afraid of going into shosetsu because there's a lot of degenerate stuff. You know what I mean? Where it's just like very fanfiction.net. You guys know what I'm talking about when I say fanfiction.net, right?
Well,
All the
yeah,
viewers-
because
yeah. everybody's
Well,
just
yeah,
like,
because
yeah,
the issue.
I'm the powerful. I'm just gonna, I hook up with all the girls and I do all the powerful things, whatever, like all this crap, right? Like it's
Oh, you
this
tried to
fanfic.
fire a laser beam at me? Well, too bad, buddy, because I put up a force field 5 seconds
Yeah,
ago.
exactly that sort of thing. It's
I,
that is very rampant. Show sense.
well, I would say the last thing that I'll really input on this series in relation to that is just from the first episode alone. It's to me, it's like it was a fucked up first episode because you just get introduced to all this shit, but you're never really given a reason to care. Right? It's like this guy's like, I'm the old Demon King that's like the new Demon King reborn. And it's just like, why do I give a shit though?
And
Like,
the
who are
thing,
you?
the thing,
Like,
the thing is, you're not. The author doesn't even care that you don't care. That's the worst part of it.
well,
The
that's what I mean. It's like that's the bizarre part of all this is
the
that it's
point
like these
is that
stories are written without
point is
any
that
consideration.
yeah, the point is that you get off a little bit to the power fantasy that this author is presenting, and then you're like, wow, I guess I should watch a little bit more of this power fantasy, and that's sort of
I
how
don't know. For me, like,
I mean,
I
I'm not
don't
saying
get that
you,
personally.
yeah, but obviously there are people who, I mean, else half of these isekais would
These are the
not.
people that like Sekiro easy mode. That's who these are.
I mean, these are the kind of types of people who watch Rakudai Kishi and what
Rakudai
is
Kishi is not a power fantasy. Because
Oh,
the main character
I
sucks.
literally tilted my head like
How can it
like
be a power
like
fantasy if the main character is the weakest knight?
Look, the only caveat I'll make is that I'd rather watch a power fantasy where the main character at least starts out being really shitty than
You mean
whatever
Rakudai
this
Kishi?
is.
I got you. I can hook you up. So, Dark.
No, I said I'd rather. I'll just not watch either.
have you guys ever watched do you guys know the Graham Norton show? It's like a British like talk show kind of thing where they
No.
bring in obviously star guests and stuff like that.
yeah.
And there was this
I
part
have.
where they brought in Robin Williams, and, always famous comedian, and Elijah Wood, known for Frodo, Lord of the Rings, right? And they were talking
I think
about
you mean the guy.
yeah
Spy
Yeah,
that
Kids?
the guy from Spy Kids 3D.
yeah I remember. You're right. But Elijah Wood was talking about like his first and last days in Hobbiton, which is like this actual sort of mega studio set prop set that became an actual place, like tourist place, right? And at the end, Graham was just like, "Oh, you're just talking about like Hobbiton like it's an actual place."
It is. They
And
built it on the set. It
and
counts.
Elijah was like, "Graham, that is like," he like immediately just like tells the set, "It's like don't spoil for the like don't do that." That is exactly the face I made when Toast was like, Rocket Kishi isn't a power fantasy. Like, I don't think you
How
guys
can it be a power fantasy if he's weak? It's
That
called a
is
weak fantasy.
true.
Oh
That
boy.
is true.
Unpowered
That is true,
fantasy.
Toast. I
Yeah.
apologize.
It's a sub's dream.
Yeah, it's a niche genre.
But yeah, where was I going with this?
Yeah,
I don't know. Made by Silverlink, which you know who
Yeah,
made
that's right.
Silverlink? Baka the Test and Freight Prisma Ilya.
Yeah, I believe those were both. Wait, is this series also an Onuma Shin production?
Is it? You tell
Is
me.
it? What do you mean? If do you not have the info on your own? Yeah, it's Onuma
It
Shin.
is, yeah. I was gonna say it was.
Okay.
You ruined my joke.
Okay. All right. So
Oh yeah. So I guess it looks okay. Average. It's definitely better looking than. Let's throw what's that show? What's the show with Kaiba's voice actor? I watched. It sucked, but I still watched it.
See the Kenjiro? It's the Mao retry or something.
Yeah. Maosama Retry. Thank you. That's the one. It's all right. It's better. It has better visuals than that.
Okay.
It's power fantasy. There's a lot skipped. I don't know for some reason. Probably because this is only going to be 12 episodes, and they got to get to the real big bad guy, I guess.
Okay.
There's a demon magic school tournament, I guess. It's cool.
Cool.
I don't know. It's
Alright.
fine. I'll rate it a
I disagree.
7 out of 10.
Let's rate it. Yeah, okay. 7 out of 10. Fair. Okay.
7?
Can we?
I'll rate it a
It's
7 out of 10. It's got
it's a my anime list adjusted ranking. Dark. Can we?
Well, it literally is a 7.39 on my anime.
Really?
oh really
It
nice.
really?
Yeah,
Yikes.
but the boys fighting the good fight. The most recent reviews top out at a 5
You're
at
right.
best.
It's 7.39 out of 10. Oh my god.
The first one is a fucking 1 out of 10 and actually rips it apart in like the same ways. This dude's write like 5 paragraphs about this. Like, damn, man.
Because it has to be a split between like 1 and like 10s, right? Else it will be extremely difficult to get
Yeah.
a 7.4.
Well, I mean, it's not just that. I mean, there's like 5, 4, 2, 1. But there's probably so many people that just flooded it with the 10 out of 10 as soon as it came out.
Wait, okay, here it is. At first, I thought this will be shit, but surprisingly, it's fun watching this, even though the plot is not very interesting, at least for me, but I think it's worth a rating of at least 7. I gave it a 10, though, because of great animation / art. What?
Oh my
Really?
god.
Great
yeah.
animation. So relentless.
It's not even great.
It's
Yeah.
not
what-
really so-called extraordinary anime, so don't expect something like that from me. You can say it's just for fun because the plot is pretty much simple. So you think it might be boring, but surprisingly, it's fun watching it. By the way, he gave it a 10.
At first you might think this is shit, and it kind of is, but like it tastes pretty good.
Okay. This show is not for you if you're looking for a unique twist with suspenseful power reveals or tactics.
He's wrong because
So this show is for you if you're looking
who is
for
this show
just
for? Yeah, who is this show for then? Anybody who likes mature MC with a level head who doesn't overreact or whine about every little thing.
he
because he's
is
actually
not
a
mature.
respectable adult.
A respectable adult.
he's
State
what?
of my anime list review.
Literally, if this man didn't have superpowers, he would be the worst, like, fucking person. Holy shit.
He's also
Oh,
1 month old, so yeah.
I fucking
Themes.
Literal
Discrimination due to
baby.
heritage, big one. Oh baby. Yes, this definitely goes deep into talking about discriminatory practices and
But yeah.
I mean, this person, like, anyone who would think that this is a level-headed, like, protagonist, it's like, no, they're just fucking, like, edgy, like, to the
this is easily going
utmost
straight into my top
extent.
5, and that's based on the first 3 episodes.
These are the people. These are the people that say that like Tokyo Ghoul is an adult series. It's for adults only.
Wait, this guy's will only watch 3 episodes, but he says I do seriously hope for a season 2.
It's not gonna get one. It's moving too fast. Yeah.
This is so good.
What else?
Have to admit, nail the artwork. 10 out of 10.
Nailed the artwork.
As
Nailed the
usual.
artwork of the most standard series we could possibly fucking
Wait,
imagine.
it says as usual. Nailed the girls' designs. What does this mean? What is
They look good.
What was the
What,
press? for them?
Silverlink? Like as usual,
But it's-
as
but it's
usual,
from a
Silverlink,
different-
you nailed it.
Yeah, but it's different from a different fucking artist. So it doesn't even make sense. It's not like this is Maka to test art. Like what the fuck?
They
Anyway,
fucking nailed
I think
it.
they're thinking of Prisma Ilia art. They nail
No.
it there.
One-to-one recreation of.
I have to write it because this series is so hilarious, especially when you're high. God damn. That's that can be.
This is mall rating, I guess.
Anyways, any last words? I mean, wait, you already said your last words.
No,
right?
I'm
Hey,
not
Overy looked
done
like a
yet.
Fucking visual
Any
masterpiece, by
last
the way.
words, Toast?
What did I rate this again? 7?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
rated 7.
It's not as good as Assassin's Pride. That's an 8. Even though they both suck in
Bro.
their own ways. Yeah, I would say Assassin's Pride is a better example of this. Even though they both move really fast for some reason. Oh shit.
Toast is a very knowledgeable my anime list ranker, so please do not judge him. Thank you for your review on what is this called? Maou Gakuin no
Yeah, so
Futekigousha.
if you want something like this, Assassin's Pride, Rocket Aikishi, don't watch Asterisk War. That's too. That's just
That's
just
too
sucks.
low.
That's the red line. Yeah, sorry
Yeah.
guys.
Bastard Magic School Academy. You know, this is a dime a dozen, but I'm still gonna watch it. You know why? I don't know. I really don't.
Okay. All right. Anyways, if you guys enjoy stuff like this, please do watch. Let me read this.
I want to see him do more age progression and regression on some characters. Because
Okay.
he did that. I think he did that with the two main girls. He was all like, I'm gonna send you back in time so you can merge with your own fetus and become a true demon or something. And I'm like, I want more of this. It's the good stuff.
Okay. Anyways, thank you, Toast, for your
so me.
thank you for your review, Toast. And if you
Who
guys
what was that one?
what
Oh yeah, Dwight from The Office, where he was all like, I had a twin in the womb, but then I absorbed the twin. Now I have the power of one adult man and one baby.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was it. And if you guys do want to watch this, I believe the name
You
is
shouldn't, but you should. I don't know.
The Misfit of Demon King Academy, also known as Maou Gakuin no Futekigousha. 史上最強の魔王の思想、転生して子孫たちの学校へ。Essentially, that's the name is just like it's just telling the initial premise.
Oh yeah, I forgot to say why he's a misfit. He's a misfit.
He's a misfit because he doesn't give a fuck about the academy.
No, he's a misfit because when they measured his magic power level, he broke the it was measured 0 and he broke it.
Yeah,
so they're all like,
right.
we can't put you on our ranking, so we're gonna put you at 0.
Yeah,
he's all like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, which by the way, everyone knows that's exactly how you would measure anything, by the way.
Yes.
When it goes so high that your meter gets destroyed.
It was rated 0, but then it broke.
Go to 0.
It should have gone to 255, then broke.
Thank you, Toast, for covering it, and we are finally going to move on to a series that's
good,
actually worth watching. Sort of, I guess. We'll talk about a little bit more about that. What do you want to talk about here, Nier?
Well, you know, I watched Appare-Ranman, which
isn't this like your second or third time talking about it?
No.
What?
No.
We only talked about.
We have not covered this on the show at all.
I thought you did.
All
right. Nope. So Appare-Ranman technically came out last season. But I think only like 3 episodes came out.
Yeah, so we
and then it was delayed due to COVID for like 6 months. But yeah, it's finally came back a while ago. There are, I believe, 6 episodes out now. And it's pretty alright. It is a PA Works original.
It's not part of. No, I keep thinking of what is it, Skumukuro or something like that? That was like the Mecha Samurai series. That was part of. No, that was part of Production IG Anniversary, right?
Yeah.
Well, is this part of PA Works Anniversary thing or no?
I don't think so. I think this is just like PA Works.
Yeah. Okay.
Doing a series,
sorry.
you know.
Yeah.
You know, as PA Works likes to do.
Yeah. Sure.
They push out a lot of original series. Although lately their track record hasn't exactly been stellar. But yeah, this one's pretty solid. It is a I guess a Western like it's like a Western. I can't really tell if it's like trying to be like remotely historically accurate. I mean, it is Western. It takes place in America. I mean, it's not like
it's like a wacky version of like the Wild West,
it's not like there's cowboys or anything, but like it's like industrial well, not
It's
really
steampunk. What I
industrial.
want to say, it's not Western. It's steampunk.
I mean, it's like turn. It's like the
Turn of the
start.
century. type.
It's like start of like the gasoline car, right?
Industrial
So
Revolution-ish kind of.
yeah. So this
Yeah.
series is a pseudo racing series. So the premise is um
It has
the
racing.
the main character Solano Appare, um, who's voiced by Natsuki Hanai, is a uh, the usual, I guess, autistic savant style character. You know, he's
I thought he was a girl at first, by the way. I was
yeah.
generally.
I mean, you know, I feel like a lot of people did due to the promo art, right? Um, the Apare's like design doesn't really scream, male main character, but yeah, he's a boy.
Yeah.
Um,
Cool design.
yeah, he's got a pretty solid design. Um, and he likes making gadgets and inventing shit. And he's socially awkward, the usual, right? He only thinks about either himself or his dreams or his like machines or whatever.
They use,
Uh,
yes.
yeah, and he causes some trouble back at home, glorious land of Nippon. Um, and he ends up building a steamboat that he just takes to sea, and he ends up dragging along this like sort of like stuck in the past samurai dude. Um, and they get stranded at sea, and then they get saved, and then they end up in Los Angeles.
Mhm.
And so the samurai dude is like, I want to go home, right?
Right.
Because he got dragged like all the way to America, like against his will. Um, and you know, like the motivation for them is like get home, make money, get home.
All right.
And so they enter this cross-continental race, which is basically a sponsored race done by these like uh, car companies. I think it's mainly done by like this one big car company, um, which I think is GM. They say, uh, yeah, they just name drop
They
GM.
just name drop
Yeah,
General Motors. All
um,
right.
and
Shouldn't it be
yeah,
Ford?
yeah, but it's
Yeah.
GM. Um,
This GM, I guess.
and
Although I guess General Motors did also come out pretty much during like in the earlier parts of the Industrial Revolution. It says 1908, and the Industrial Revolution started. Not Industrial Revolution, excuse me. The Industrial Era in terms of the U.S. started happening in the tens to 30s ish. So
yeah, I mean, they're not trying to
started
be like super historically accurate here.
yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
I was saying that they're more accurate than I realized because
yeah,
I thought that like like if General Motors was made in like the 60s and they're like, by the way, these guys are just like here.
yeah. Um, but yeah, the idea is like the race is it's sort of like a basically like a publicity stunt to be like,
Yeah.
hey, we're GM, we got the best fucking cars in the world, we can do this cross continental race, like that's how good our cars are, right?
Hmm.
Um, but a bunch of people enter the race. Appare and Kosame, the samurai dude, also enter the race because the prize is like I think it's something like $1 million. Um,
$10,000, right? But it's
no,
really a big money in terms of
the
what.
the pre-race, which is what like the series starts off with. So the
Hmm.
series starts off with like a flash forward um,
Right.
of like the starting line,
Hmm.
and like in the very first episode, they're like the winner gets $10,000, right? But then later on, they're like, yeah, the real prize is $1 million.
No, okay.
But the winner of the pre-race, which is like the first checkpoint, I guess, gets $10,000.
Oh, okay. I get it.
I don't know why they did that, but um,
They're just leading people on essentially. It's like what is it? It's like the $10,000 is just to get the first part of the story going, and then the million is like to
yeah,
ramp up the pressure. Like once some checkpoints have been reached, is probably my
yeah.
guess. Yeah.
But yeah, Apare and Kusame join, and Appare's like, I'm gonna build a steam car,
Right.
to beat all these gasoline cars and stuff.
Mhm.
And
Like, it's
a lot
very
of it,
punkish.
Wouldn't that forfeit the money?
no, no,
So the
because
GM doesn't give a fuck what car you do it in?
yeah, they don't care.
You know,
Because like the idea is like, I guess the dynamic they set up with the companies, because I think there's like 4 companies that are in the race.
Oh, okay.
Is that like they really only care, like they don't see Appare as like a relevant contender, right? Like there's a lot of people entering, and so like why would they care about the guy that has a fucking steamboat converted into a vehicle? Like why would they take him seriously?
right.
Um, so yeah, they're not really like looking at Appare as a contender. They're looking at the other company's cars, right? Um, but yeah, it's largely a story of like a bunch of characters and like their motivations for why they want to win,
Yeah, right
entering the
now
race.
it's just a cast collection and like essentially it's a standard Kino no Tabi, Okami to Konshinu or essentially Spice and
Yeah,
Wolf, stuff like that kind.
yeah,
It's that's pretty much how it'll start, and I guess that's how it'll end. Because do you mind if I start kind of digging into the
yeah,
detail of the dev? So, um, the reason why I said at the beginning, and I didn't mean to just like, I'm not meaning to shit on Appare-Ranman at all, and it was like a worth watching question mark was like, I I I feel like it doesn't have enough impact right now. Does that also kind of seem like it to you? Like it's like setting up this like atmosphere ish. Like you can see clearly setting up an atmosphere. It's building the cast. It has
yeah,
sort of like the standard. Oh, we kind of have to go on this journey because we have no money. All this crap, right? Blah blah blah. But it doesn't have enough like cathartic impact in terms of characters or sort of the motivations. And I feel bad for saying that because I've also said before, right? It doesn't always like things shouldn't always be railroaded. Slow life and kind of doing this sort of thing is okay. But I also feel like there should be some sort of balance in these cases sometimes, especially when there is sort of sometimes these uh, like because it's not like because in Kino and Hobby and Spice and Wolf, the journey is set up to be endless, right? They don't give a fuck, right?
yeah,
It's just like they're doing the journey. But in Appare-Ranman, like they kind of not really. It's not really that important, but they do set it up, right? They
yeah.
have this
I
like
mean,
very
there is a finish line,
right, right,
right?
right. It can be that like plot wise that can be made very, very, very weak, right? Very vague. Like it can be made irrelevant, but it's still kind of there. So I feel like that unfortunately forces a lot of later sort of these character introductions, developments, episodic mini arc, whatever stuff like that. They need to have some sort of like oh I watched this because this happened, or like maybe this is going into this, or like maybe I want this to happen ish. Like I want sort of things to happen that are like more like more impact based, but it doesn't seem to be doing that right now, and I'm not sure if that's just because they're too focused on collecting all the characters or whatever it is they're doing. Do you sort of get what I'm saying there? Do you?
Yeah, I mean, they've spent a lot of time, like introducing and like getting the cast together,
Mhm, mhm.
um, to the point where I think some of the other characters kind of got glossed over, right? Because like the initial, like I guess, main cast where it's Appare, Kusame, um, Jing Xiaolan, which is like the one fucking female in this entire show,
Right.
and
Also, by the way,
Leon.
showing that you this is sort of what we talked about last episode, right? It's like you don't need to just have all the girls already, just like
Yeah,
all the girls to make a good series, right?
yeah. Like this is very, very, very male cast.
Mm.
Which plays into, I guess, sort of like the time
So,
period, right?
so
Uh,
male that they needed Aoyuki to play one of the boys.
yeah, yeah. But it sort of plays into the time period, and it plays into like, I guess, Jing's like entire character arc, which is like she wants to be a racer, but everyone's like women can't be racers. What are you, stupid? Um, which yeah, I mean is okay, I guess. But yeah, they spent a lot of time on like the main is 4, 5 characters, to the point where they glossed over like a lot of like, like the 3 outlaw dudes. They haven't really like gone into anything with them except for like Dylan, who they were just like, yeah, he's an alcoholic. Just like, okay, that's cool. Um, and then there's this Richard dude, which is like just this weird, super mysterious bounty hunter, I guess. But yeah, they spent like 5 episodes just getting like the cast together for the race, and then like the race starts, and then I don't even think this show's really about racing
No,
so
it's
much.
not. That's what I
Um,
said at the beginning or earlier, like literally 5, 10 minutes ago, when I said the strength sort of this string of this plot, right, of the racing or whatever, can be made as vague. Like it can be made. So what I'm afraid of is, right, and I'm sorry if I'm sort of jumping around, is that what I'm afraid of is that at the end they'll kind of be like the author will kind of be like, or the script writers in this case, because it's original, right?
yeah,
They'll make it stronger. They'll make the string suddenly stronger, 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 and it'll start becoming this like sort of the standard sort of darker film noir cyberpunk sort of megalobox. Like, oh, by the way, GM is going to fuck you guys up, or like there's this guy that wants to get $1 million unless you guys do something about it. So some bullshit like that, right? And
yeah,
that's what I'm sort of afraid of, is that they'll make that plot stronger, stronger, stronger. But in terms of like how strong that racing plot has to be, it can be anywhere from like super strong, like the evil corporation, to like near non-existent, right? And that's a decently flexible way to do things.
yeah. And I
Right,
mean, I think it's smart that they did the thing where it's like, the race has like the checkpoints and right stuff,
right,
right? And
right.
then in every checkpoint, like the contestants are literally forced to like take a rest for at least 8 hours, right?
Right, 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 right.
Which I think is a very smart move in this series, right? Because if you have like a racing backdrop, um, for a series like this, and you have like these checkpoints, and then they're not like forced to like stay and like slow the pace down,
Hmm.
um, you're gonna run into the like question of like, well, why don't they just race? Like why aren't they just
Right,
moving
exactly,
now?
exactly,
Um,
exactly.
but the fact that the character is forced to like stay in these towns and interact, or have some sort of character progression, um, I think is a pretty smart move.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, in terms of uh, how this series is gonna go, I don't know. Like they've kind of alluded to like the company stuff,
Yeah,
but I don't.
they could be are you more afraid of, so here's the question. There are potentially two standard ways it could spiral into a bad end, right? One standard bad end is it kind of just fizzles out, right? Like it kind of becomes episodic, like things happen, and then they kind of the anime kind of ends, right? It kind of just says, oh yeah, this guy wins, or like it goes back, or whatever happens. There's like small conflicts, but then it kind of says, oh yeah, I want to be a super slow life series, so nothing really happens, and then it kind of just ends, right? Like one guy wins, or Appare goes back, or has some little revelation, or whatever it is, right? They run off into sunset. That's one standard end, and the other standard end is obviously they defeat the big evil corporation or organization or whatever it is, right? Which
Yeah.
bad ending would be worse for you?
Um. Probably like the slow life thing, because I
Mm,
think
yeah,
like this series is definitely like it has an obvious direction, right? It's pushing
right.
towards an obvious end, right?
Hmm.
So if the series just randomly decides to be like, oh well, we
Kind
could
of
just
fizzle
like
out.
we could just like have like random character interactions and checkpoints, and eventually someone just wins, and the series ends. It's like
Right,
whatever, right? Like that sucks.
right, right.
But I feel like even if it goes into the like the company stuff, it could be solid. Depending on how the writers decide to do it. Um, the fact that they haven't really like been pushing for this company like conspiracy, like political infighting shit between the companies, I think is a very good sign. Um, really, all they've done is like allude that you know some of the racers are like working for the companies with not good intentions, which I think is fine because it's like, well, at that point the characters are like being used as sort of extensions of the company, right? Like the companies aren't
Right.
like extending
It's
their
mid-boss stuff.
invisible arms
Right,
over the
right.
entire cast, right?
Yeah.
It's like there is a actual character that is within the cast that is influencing, our main characters, which I think is much more palatable than just
Mhm.
being like, oh yeah, fucking like, uh, I forget which company they're setting up to be the bad guy. I think it's Big Boss. Is like
Right.
the like not so good one.
Mhm.
Eh, it would be way lamer if it'd be like, yeah, Big Boss is like hiring fucking like evil cowboys to shoot their cars. Like that would be fucking dumb as shit, right?
Like we're like full Hokuto no Ken now with
Yeah,
the
it's
hawk
way
people.
more believable to be like, oh well, the racer that has the big evil gas mask and is literally racing in a fucking tank is the one that's like an immediate threat, right?
Right, exactly.
So I feel like the series, the setup that they've done is pretty good and decently smart for the series that it is.
Mhm.
Obviously, uh, it's PA Works. Things could go horribly wrong out of fucking nowhere. But I think the initial setup is solid. The cast is likable. Um, they're all fairly unique. It helps that
Right.
their designs are all very good. Um,
Mhm.
I'm not sure who exactly was doing the character designs on this, but like the art style, the setting, a lot of it's very good. It's very fresh, but also at the same time it feels somewhat nostalgic,
Mhm.
which is really cool. It kind of harkens back to like older, earlier like 2000 series. Um, you know, maybe a bit more like sort of out there character designs, but sort of like in like a Western setting, kind of like
Yeah.
something like
It's a little bit unfortunate that the frames aren't. I mean, the still frames are fine. Like the 3D
yeah,
is like
some of
3D
the
works because it's like car mecha stuff like that.
yeah,
But like I
sometimes
would
you'll see the CG people driving the cars, and you're like, that doesn't look so hot. And
right.
sometimes, the
Some of
cars
the
will be zooming down the roads, and you're like, those lines aren't so hot. But it looks serviceable.
I mean, what I'm saying is especially for a series that's like struggling through this period in time, right?
Yeah,
With the coronavirus, it's very good.
yeah. I mean, it does look good.
Yeah.
And the fact that this series was on hiatus for so long
Mhm.
due to coronavirus, it's very understandable.
Mhm.
They would have to rely on CG a little bit more often.
Mhm. Mhm.
But, the colors are strong. You know, I was worried that this series was going to be like the colors were going to clash with the setting. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
Especially with Appare's design, or
Mhm.
he's wearing pinks and bright reds, and you know, uh, maybe that wouldn't have like, if they if they did the colors a little bit too bright, then it would have looked like shit, right? Like
Right.
you have this fucking neon character in this like Western, industrial era setting. It doesn't look so hot, but
Right.
the balance is good. Um, it's a solid looking series. The voice talent is very good as well. They have a lot
Yeah.
of really big name voice actors here.
Exactly.
They have Tokazu Sugita. Like I said, Datsuki Hanai is voicing Appare.
Nice. Yes.
Uh, they have
Aoiki.
Takehiro Sakurai,
Yes.
very famous voice actor. They've got big names here.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
the director has
Yeah, I want to talk about that. It's actually when I saw that, I didn't get chills, but I was like, oh, okay, because it's like he did Tari Tari, right?
yeah,
So Tari Tari, I got the same feeling about this, where it's like Tari Tari had an interesting premise. It was like a music sort of related a series, right? If I remember correctly, but it never really floated up like how Shirobako did,
yeah,
or maybe something even like Sakura Quest did. It was very like it ended up being pretty middling, if I want
yeah.
to say so myself. And I kind of hope that this doesn't end up the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully not. I think this series probably has. I mean, my memory of Taritari is pretty hazy,
Mm-hmm.
but I
Been
feel
a
like
while.
the setup for this series is pretty strong.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and again, like I said, it's PA Works. Things could go horribly awry for no reason at all.
Right,
Um,
right.
but I think the base for this is quite strong.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully, it turns out solid.
Yeah. I just, I, I, like, it's so close. Like, if I just have a little bit more oomph, like as I said before, I just need a little bit more oomph in terms of like, why am I seeing this character on this screen, right? If
Yeah,
I have a little bit more impact, then I think I confidently say that this honestly would be even despite the corona and maybe because of whatever, right? Even despite it, I think this would be probably one of the best series of this year, and I very much regret that this wasn't made in last year, right? I kind of it's very unfortunate that some other series like like why are we having a billion different fucking seasons of Shokugeki no Soma or free or Nagotoban or whatever when we can have stuff like Appare-Ranman, right?
yeah,
Is my question. But it's very unfortunate that it was made this year. Um, and again, if I said that if this was made in if this was made in I I want to say I want but if it was made in 2020 and then if it had more impact it would be better.
yeah. I think the issue of impact is largely to do with like the fact that the characters' motivations, while they are set up like decently, they aren't really something that the viewer can really root for out in my opinion, outside of like Jing, right? Like because Apare's motivation is basically just like I want to be fucking the best, right? Like I want to make the best machine. It's like, well, that's kind of generic, right? Like that's not really something that the viewer can be like, yeah, you go for it, buddy. Um, and Kosame's motivation is just like, I want to go home, right? Um, and then there's, I guess there's Tototo, which is like he wants revenge for his father, which is, a decent motivation as well. But it's not really, it doesn't tie as much into like him being in the race, right?
It's
Whereas,
not
the-
well, I mean, I don't think the race has anything to do with that. I think even just in terms of how the viewers look at it. Like it doesn't have to be in the race. Like Toto's father's
yeah,
motivation.
I mean,
So
he's just,
it's just like it's not. Again, I feel bad for saying this because it's supposed to be a slower series, but it's just not really cathartic enough. Is sort of how I want to phrase it. I'm not sure if that's the most accurate way I want to phrase it, but it's like
yeah,
it's just like
there's not a
there's
lot of reward that you're getting out of,
yeah.
like when you're
Again,
watching.
I don't want to be saying it like that, but it's like there has to be a reason why the writer is telling me this story, right? If it's not some sort of like because it's sold as this wacky, right? So there has to be a reason as to why it's being sold as a sort of wacky story, right?
Yeah.
And if there's not as much reason to it, then it's very difficult.
Yeah. Um, I think I don't know. I think it being more of a slower series is sort of a consequence of that like effect, right? Where it's like, oh well, you have all these characters, but none of them are really right now, like I guess getting payoff for like being on the screen. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it's kind of all set up right now, which is uh, I guess a little worrying because we're 6 episodes in. Um,
Yeah, it's how many episodes is it? Is it 24? Was it
uh,
supposed to be 24 or
I
what?
mean, Mal says 13, but I feel like like there's no way. I feel like this is probably gonna get a second core. right?
Yeah,
Like, there's no way this is a
there's
13 episode series.
there's literally a
It's like,
negative way that you can just cover six episodes of just character cast creation and then
yeah,
do
because like
anything.
we're 6 episodes in, and we're literally at the first checkpoint, right? Like,
Well, the
uh,
more important thing is it's all been just cast inclusion so far. It's not,
yeah, right. And like, how are you going to go through the next like 7 episodes, um, and be like, yeah, all of
we're
these
actually
characters,
developing them now.
all of these characters are going to get development, backstory, and like a closure. Like,
Yeah,
there's no way,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Uh, like, and also the race is going to be finished. Like,
Yeah.
like, come on.
They're gonna
I'm
they're gonna
pretty
they're gonna
sure this is gonna get a second core.
they're gonna have 13 episodes and then like 3, 4, like they're gonna have like 10 different OVAs afterwards.
God,
Like full early 2000 style where they're just selling it based on OVAs essentially.
I hope not. But yeah, yeah, I could see this being like a 24, 25 episode series. At the end of it.
Yeah.
Um,
It'll be
but yeah,
very unfortunate if it just ends early because of Corona and stuff like that.
yeah. But overall, I'd say right now it's solid. I don't.
Still like top 3 of the season probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of the better ones out there.
Yeah.
The cast is all pretty much likable.
Hmm.
Some of the minor characters are kind of just like, yeah, whatever, you're there.
Yeah.
But that's sort of just a consequence of the fact that they're side characters, right? Um, but like the main cast, they're all they have like good banter between themselves. Um, they all have solid motivations for continuing through the story, even if those motivations aren't really rewarded yet. Um,
Hmm.
the visual style is quite nice. The animation is pretty good.
Right.
The music is very good. Um, I like the music quite a lot. Um, but yeah, it's pretty good. I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah.
Um, you know, it's it's not a racing series. That's something that excites you.
The
Um,
racing has very little. Well,
yeah,
it could have more to do with it later, but who
yeah,
knows?
it could be. It
Episode
could
13.
play. It could play more of a part later, but right now it's kind of just like it is a tool to get the characters to sort of
Yeah.
bounce off of each other, right?
Yep.
So, but yeah, it's a solid series. I would recommend.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for covering Appare-Ranman. I know you want to cover. I mean, I know all of us want to cover Appare-Ranman last season, but
Yeah,
it's very unfortunate that it got delayed until now, and then kind of doing what it's doing right now. Again, I
I
do wish
mean,
that it was made in 2019. I think we would have seen a completely different world. Uh, if that was the case,
yeah,
but yeah, it is what it is.
I'll probably talk about it again because PA works. So
Yeah. Anyways, thank you for covering Appare-Ranman. And with that, we are moving on to the news. Not too much in terms of news. A lot of it's company related. Company related. Gonna go through it real quickly. First off, in terms of like digital events, because of Corona, everybody's kind of holding digital events and digital conventions, which I think is partly a good thing because it's like, I mean, part of the reason why people like voice actors, YouTube channels and stuff like that, right? Is because there's more like sort of quote unquote interaction, right? It's like it seems like you get to see kind of like a closer up aspect of them and stuff like that, and more kind of them doing spontaneous stuff, right? But then on the other hand, part of why you go to these conventions and the panels is because you can be up close and see them in person, right? So
yeah,
there's, I guess, that sort of thing. But there was another sort of thing called OtaQuest. I believe it is a virtual otaku convention that is happening on the 16th, 15th, and 16th. I don't know whether you have to like pay for this shit. I hope not. That would be kind of silly. Uh, pay to time Nico Nico time shift into
yeah.
seeing Miyano Mamoru on a Zoom meeting. Yeah, yeah. I don't know about that, but it'll have Miyano Mamoru, My Hero Academia directors, Studio, Trigger, People, blah 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 blah. It has Kanayoko, Itakaki Paru, a lot of like famous names. Obviously, also with a lot of these online conventions, a lot of them are able to kind of pull in a lot of the bigger names just because it's easier, right? Like
Yeah,
you don't have to
very
pay for all their
convenient.
stuff. They don't have to pay for convention fees. I think, like the largest probably the largest share of fee in terms of convention stuff is the convention hall, like renting and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Renting out, and they don't have to pay that anymore. So, anyways, so I guess be on the lookout for online conventions if you guys want to see stuff like this. Next, this is a couple of big company news. Asahi Broadcasting Group Holdings announced that it has acquired the animation studio Silverlink as a subsidiary company as of Monday. So Silverlink recently reabsorbed the subsidiary Anime Studio Connect and dissolved the company last month. Silverlink inherited all the Connect's rights. So a lot of sort of anime studios are being swallowed and kind of merged with bigger companies, and I think that's sort of obvious why it's doing that. If you guys have been keeping up with and keeping track with what we've been kind of talking about in the past couple of years, in terms of essentially studios, the TLDR is that studios are all going in the red. Whatever they do is pretty much all in the red, and the only thing that makes them any money is sort of the licensing rights department of the studio, right? Um, Nothing else makes them money, pretty much. So what I probably is my guess ends up happening is they get kind of sucked into a bigger company so that the assets can be stabilized, right? So they can have a bigger company to sort of rely on and kind of you know move around float, move around capital, move around assets, whatever they need, right? And then the company also gets to sort of have an animation arm, right? An animation studio if they need be, right? Another sort of a stronger media asset and work with that. So a lot of these sort of mergers with bigger companies are hopefully Silverlink. I guess Silverlink won't be going under or anything like that, but it's another sign of the times. Next, credit research company Tokyo Shoko Research (TSR) reported on Tuesday that Common Sense, the official company name for the anime studio ARMS, has declared bankruptcy through the Tokyo District Court. The company had filed for special liquidation on July 22nd after deciding on that course of action through a shareholder meeting on May 31st. So this was actually the studio produced a lot of different stuff. They started out as like a weird like contractor sister company, and then they did like adult stuff, and then they started doing they, I believe, did Elfen Lied and Queen's Blade and Ikitosen. So they put out a couple of pretty well-known works. So it's unfortunate that they did go bankrupt, but again, another sign of the times, I believe. Some some Axis of Evil stuff going on in the next couple of pieces of news. Japanese game developer Calab, or Kurabu, as the Western fans love to call them.
Collab.
Kurabu announced on Thursday that it is partnering with American-based entertainment company Electronic Arts to develop an online mobile title.
Monka S, dude.
Caleb plans to develop and operate the game, which will be with a quote-unquote with a leading IP from EA. Can you imagine the amount of greed when you combine Japanese mobile game practices with EA microtransactional practices? Can you just like you literally won't be able to click on the title screen, like enter the game without paying money. Like I believe that's going to happen.
From
You just
EA. I feel like that's probably like Star Wars or something.
Star Wars or Plants
Because
vs
they have
Zombies or
game
something like that.
rights for
It's probably some one of their like smaller like I mean Star Wars, or it's probably one of their like smaller like other like mobile game stuff. But it's like K-Lab is like probably making some Japanese version of it. You know what I mean?
yeah, I don't know. It's so weird. Kind of
Yeah.
scary to know, to be honest.
You open the game up and it's literally like how it's like on the bottom or on the side there are like tabs to go to different pages, shop, or like you see the girls in your office or whatever it is, right? like every button is just shop.
Yeah.
Every button is shop. And also, Caleb is apparently developing. It has acquired the mobile game distribution rights to the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure anime for the mainland China, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Macau region. So it's making a JoJo mobile game for China,
Wow.
which is interesting to say the least.
Oh, they already made a JoJo Battle Royale, so why not?
Yeah,
That's
I
true.
mean, there's a JoJo gacha game out already,
Yeah.
so
And then next is this last one before we go into people news, and I usually don't make announcements because or make announcements of sort of anime stuff, right? Because again, there's a shit ton of that coming out every other day, duh. But this one I believe is pretty big. So Viz Media unveiled the first full trailer, a new visual, and the three main cast members for the Yashahime, Princess Half or Hanyo no Yashahime anime spin-off of Takahashi Rumiko's Inuyasha series on Thursday. Is it spin-off or is it a sequel? Because it says Descendants, right?
I mean, it's a spin-off, but it's basically like
A sequel.
it's like I guess I guess it's like an after story, like it's their kids, right? So
Yeah, it's our kids. So, um, yeah, I don't know, man. The anime's official website and Japanese version of the trailer also revealed the anime, blah 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 blah. And so this is anime involving the descendants of Sesshomaru, Inuyasha, and Kagome, the main sort of characters involved in Inuyasha. Some asshole, like, is it like a tomboy? Yeah, it's a tomboy, right? Is Toa is Sesshomaru's like thing? Oh yeah, okay. So Toa Higurashi, one of Sesshomaru's daughters, and Setsuna's twin. So that's like the tomboy, I guess. Uh,
Pog, dude.
and then Setsuna is like the one that takes their role of fucking who's the girl who was with Miroku? Sango, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
the person that looks like Sango, right? This girl
Yep.
looks like Sango, yeah.
Yeah, she's just blue Sanga.
Yeah, the blue I like it's like a Smash character, like Blue Sango.
Yeah.
Um, Setsuna, which is essentially just like a Sango clone. And then there's Moroha, who is the daughter of Inuyasha and Kagome. Apparently she is an archer swordsman
Yeah, she
jungle
looks like a
girl
fucking
now.
Ghibli character, dude.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's exactly what I think. But yeah, the daughters of Sesshomaru and Inuyasha set out on a journey transcending time. So it's very interesting because it's like this sort of the three girls, like three warrior girls, like going across Japan or whatever, right? It's actually a pretty common like movie premise in Eastern Asia, right? China, Korea, Japan, whatever.
Yeah.
And now it's an Inuyasha format, question mark, I guess, which is very interesting because it's definitely a different um I want to say tone than Inuyasha, because Inuyasha still had like the boy girl thing going on, right? But
Yeah.
like this is literally just like, yeah, we're fucking the three ninja girls. We're just gonna go
Yeah,
out
cut out the
and
lame part.
yeah, we just need the Yuri, okay? But yeah,
Why do we need a
it was
boy? We got a tomboy right there.
yeah, that's true. That is true. Sorry. But yeah, for those of you who are excited for the sequel of Inuyasha, please stand by for this. But yeah, I there's like memory loss, there's like other worlds, there's demon slaying, there's swords, there's white hair, the full shebang. So you guys will enjoy it if you like Inuyasha, I guess. Question. Uh,
Hopefully.
hopefully, yeah. But yeah, get ready for that. And then for people news, a lot of sort of sobering events. First, Japanese publisher Wani Magazine and hentai website Faku announced on Sunday that hentai manga creator Aki Musu passed away on June 7th. So, condolences, friends, and family. Visual novel company Aquaplus president Shimokawa Naoya announced on his Twitter account on Wednesday that composer Mameda Susumu has passed away. So they did not specify the date or cause for his passing. Mameda composed songs for many of Aquaplus' major visual novels, including iconic songs in Shizuku, White Album, Utawareru Mono, Routes, Comic Party, Tears to Tiara 2, To Heart 2, and Utawareru Mono, Mask of Deception, and all the other spin-offs. So again, condolences to his friends and family. Next. Police arrested an executive from Zest, which is the managing company of the SKE48 Idol group. So SKE is one of the many sort of spin-offs / sister groups of the infamous AKB48 Idol group. It is based in the Sakae district of Nagoya City. But yeah, according to police, this 58-year-old Zest executive, Ebine Kazuya, allegedly paid two underage girls, one 15 years old and the other 17 years old at the time, to perform illicit sexual activities inside his car on November 23rd of last year. Upon his arrest on Tuesday, Epines said that he had, quote-unquote, only let them inside his car. A believable story, to be sure.
Yeah, I just paid them to sit in my car.
I just drove them around, pay some taxi fees, and then they get out. It's like Uber Eats, except without the eats and also with sex. Next, voice actress Furuya Shizuka announced on Saturday that she's returning to voice acting work 5 years after announcing her retirement in 2015. In an interview with the Anime Times website, she revealed that the reason she retired in 2015 was due to being hit by a truck in a traffic accident, with half of her body subsequently being paralyzed. So, very unfortunate. After her retirement, Furuya worked a number of jobs, but used her work leave to take a vacation to South Korea, blah, blah, blah. She was, she was solicited by some other producers to consider some, new job roles, and then, so she's trying to return to voice acting now. Furuya is perhaps best known for voicing the character Nano Shinonome Nano. Wow, the robot girl, right? Yeah, and Kyoani's Nichijo, My Ordinary Life comedy. She did a good voice. She acted out the role pretty well though.
Yeah.
She also voiced AUG Og-A1 and Upote and Ryan X1 and Robokazu 2. Wow, she had so much potential. It was very, very unfortunate that she got into this accident.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that she is back now. And hopefully she isn't hampered too much by what happened previously. Next. Akita Shoten announced on Tuesday that manga artist Kuwata passed away on the 2nd of July at the age of 85. Kuwata was born in Osaka in 1935 and he debuted as a manga creator in 1948 at the age of 13. Kuwata is perhaps most well known in the West for his Batman, the Jiro Kuwata Batmanga manga. The manga adaptation of DC Comics' popular American superhero ran in Shonen Gahosha's Weekly Shonen King and Shonen Gaho magazines from 1966 to 1967. So, please wish his wish condolences for his friends and family. Yeah, very unfortunate. And the last piece of person news, I'm a bit rusty, apologies, before we go on to shoutouts and callouts, is another very unfortunate.
Another one.
Yeah, another one. By the way, this manga series, I never understood how to pronounce it until I saw the Japanese name for it, like in the katakana. But it's Actage, right? Actage. Actage would be the English
I
pronunciation.
thought it
And
was
then,
Act Age.
yeah, yeah, actage. It's like a verb, like
Yeah.
they're trying to make it a verb, yeah. And then I believe in Japanese, they obviously because of the romanization, it's actage. But anyways, NHK reported on Saturday that Actage story creator Tatsuya Matsuki Tatsuya, 29 years old, was arrested on suspicion of committing an indecent act with a female middle school student. NHK reported that according to police, the girl was walking in the Nakano ward of Tokyo on June 18th at 8 p.m. when the suspect approached the girl from behind and touched her inappropriately. After a word, the suspect fled the scene. The girl went to police, who analyzed security, blah, blah, blah. And police discovered through security footage that about an hour later, a similar incident on a nearby road with a different female middle school student occurred, involving a suspect who resembled Matsuki. According to police, Matsuki told police, quote unquote, "There's generally nothing correct with their what? There's generally nothing incorrect with their accusations." So he's saying that
Yeah,
they're
he's
correct.
saying
Yeah.
he did it.
By the way, if you guys don't know, like you guys might not know because it's not as much of a meme in the West as, fucking Shokugeki no Soma or Tokyo Ghoul is. But Act Age is a very, very, very popular series in Japan. So it's very unfortunate for the fans of the series. Obviously not good that this person has done this shitty thing. And yeah, don't do that, kids. But yeah, that should be all the people news for today. And without further ado, we are on to the shoutouts and callouts. Everybody here gets one shout out and one call out each. One shout out to say something nice about your grandma, about your pet, about, global events, whatever you want to say, any person, place, or thing. And the call out is any one thing to rage about, give 0 stars, thumbs down, whatever you want. It can be any person, place, or thing, and each person again gets one shot and one call out. And I guess I'll start. Let's see this. Oh yeah, my shout out is actually to. This will almost sound like a sponsor thing, but it's to Clockify. So Clockify is it's like an online sort of free time management like app kind of thing. So you can it pretty much works like any standard sort of timestamp, time track, time management kind of thing. You enter in the times that you worked on this project, and then kind of logs it, and then you can kind of later see, you spend this much time on this project, you spend this much time on this project, whatever. And I've been kind of using it to track how much time I use for just like messing around, not doing anything, how much time I use for, working on my hobbies or studying or whatever, how much time I spend exercising, so on and so forth. And it's been pretty nice, so I can kind of like keep up and be like, oh, I'm being pretty lazy. I should probably stop being lazy. So shout outs to that. My call out is to so Near and Dark might have seen
Come on,
it.
guys.
What?
Oh, I thought you were calling us out.
No. I'm not
Damn,
calling.
dude.
I have no reason to call you guys out randomly, but you guys might have seen it. But I was watching a video earlier this morning, I believe, or yesterday. I forget exactly when I first found it, but it was like this video of and it was very early, by the way, or it was very recent. Excuse me. It was just like a couple of days ago, and it was an HKT48 idol, the number 1 ranked HKT48 idol, and this is one of like the sister groups of AKB48, obviously, and HKT48 is pretty popular. So the number 1 ranked idol is like legit, like one of the top like idols in the nation. Period. Right? And she was on public television in front of a bunch of kids, right? And she was talking about, she was like, I know everybody wants to become an idol. So here are 3 points you should keep in mind to become an idol, right? And she was like, the first point is you don't need to really practice or learn singing and dancing because
Um,
she said, and this is in the video, like she explicitly says this in the video, because older men like it, like the middle-aged men like it when you're a little bit clumsy. When it shows that you seem to be like working hard, but you're clumsy. They find that funny. So you
That's
should
not what
be.
that means.
So you should be a little bit clumsy or whatever, a little less whatever. So that's the first point. You don't need to learn to sing and dance. You can be a little bit clumsy, and everybody and the older men will love you for it. And secondly, and this one fucked me up, is you need to get rid of your shyness. And the reason for that is because there are handshake meetings. And if you guys don't know what this is, especially with Japanese idols, I mean, with a lot of celebrity, but this is especially rampant in terms of how it is in Japanese idol culture, right? Um, at live events, there's obviously signing events and stuff like that, but there are like handshake events where fans pay or go to events and shake the hands of their idol, right? um it shows like if you're shy, you can't make use of these handshake events, handshake meeting events. And then what was it, the third point was something stupid, like some other stupid point, like
Damn, really killer advice.
you need to be within the rankings. By the way, all of these idol, like the AKB48 whatever idol group stuff like that, they all have rankings. Like there's like a number 1 idol, and then there's like a number 8 idol, and like a number 10 idol, whatever. Like there's legitimately like popularity ranking. Then what was it? She was like, "Be sure to get in the rankings." I'm just like, what are you telling these kids? Like, she was legitimately telling these to kids, as in like elementary school kids, not
I
like
mean, it just
college
goes to show you like how far,
up
like
the
how
down.
far reaching like the like taint of
Yeah,
like idol culture goes, like to the
yeah,
point where it like legitimately fucks with the like the way that the idols themselves like view like
right.
themselves,
Exactly,
right?
exactly. It's like they're
Um,
not even
I
that
wouldn't even see
aware
just
on how.
themselves that they view fucking reality. Like
The
yeah,
worst part is like she didn't
that
like
is a
she
complete.
even if she realizes that was how to survive in that sort of industry. The fact that she said it in front of kids as the number 1 ranked idol, like in like one of the top idols in the nation, in front of a bunch of elementary school kids, shows how far gone that shit is. You know
Yeah,
what
well, I mean that's also not reality either. It's like,
I mean?
oh, like don't practice because like even if it was like, oh, don't practice too hard because like some of that clumsiness is like the reality is that you'd be practicing even harder to work that into your persona and not be a fucking disaster. Like
Yeah,
you,
but
you
I
still
feel like there's
can't
also
get
parts of
on stage and be a complete wreck. Like,
I feel like there are some parts of the Japanese idol industry where that might actually be true, where you can legitimately just be with you can act so so and he says in chat, it's like there's nothing wrong with don't be shy and don't try to be perfect. That's not
I
what
mean,
she
she's
said.
literally not even saying don't try to be perfect. She's saying don't fucking practice singing and dancing
No,
because
no, no,
like
no.
they like it when you're
Yeah,
like that. It's
the,
like
the point
that's
is
not.
she explicitly says in the video that you want to project being clumsy. It's not that you don't. It's not. She's not saying don't let perfect be the enemy of the good, right? She's saying
yeah.
literally
She's
act
saying use
clumsy.
your clumsiness as a marketing tool for yourself.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Like,
explicitly what she says in the video. I'm not like biasing this. Like that's actually what she says if we watch. But so so I feel like I agree with Dark in terms of that's also very hard to like be um like pull off in a practical sense, right? To balance that out if you actually
Well,
want
I
to get
mean,
to
it's
that
like
level. But
if you're trying to be in like an idol group and you're also going to give the same advice of make the rankings, it's like what fucking like company is going to look at someone and be like, oh yeah, I really like the fact that none of her idols are even fucking practicing
yeah.
and are just complete disasters.
Well, I mean, again, the biggest thing is it's
Sure, there's certain appeal to like certain
regardless
groups,
of this like
but
this sort of like survival advice. Like let's say like it will work in a variety show or whatever. Um, you shouldn't tell it to children. Yeah, like the point is she she's telling very I want to say like advice that you should be giving to beginning hostesses, right, at working at hostess clubs, to elementary school children. And I believe that's not a thing that you should do. Is how I want to phrase that. You know what I mean? um. So that's my call out. It was very uh, it was very disappointing. I just watched that and I was like, no, no, no.
Yeah, I mean,
Please.
I agree with Nier in the fact that it's just like your your own sense of self is completely just demolished. Like, there's no way as a #1 idol you're actually just like, you know,
I posted the link in the
just,
chat, yeah.
just that like, oh yeah, I don't practice and I don't like work hard at anything. By the way,
Yeah.
like I feel like that's more of a sense of it's like just completely twisted in her own head of like that is her essentially persona as an idol or something she's trying to work in
Yeah,
as an idol.
I don't
But it's
think
not
it's even real.
actual reality.
I think well they show at the end of this video they show off some of her singing and dancing skills, and her singing is not very like it's not good. It's not good. But what I'm saying is like there's part of that, but I also think that in the Japanese idol industry there's a more insidious, also an insidious thing going on where it's like it is actually sort of like that, where it's like you can start selling off the fact that you're just clumsy and bad as like as almost like a skill set or as like a charm point, and kind of scoot on in terms of being in the idol industry for a while on not being good because the fans will eat it up. Because
I don't know. I
yeah,
just feel like there's a difference between not being like particularly like incredible at singing and just like actually just not even
giving a shit.
trying and
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah,
being
yeah.
like because if you don't practice like fucking choreography, there's no like recovering from that. There's no like, oh, you're a little clumsy. Like that's just a complete train wreck. It's
I think the
nothing.
standard is also probably, but yeah, if you watched like the end of the if you watch the end of the video, I think they do it like they show it with like the Emma removed, the master recorder removed and stuff like that. So they show like the actual voice during the live and stuff like that. But it's not great. But
I mean,
again,
the action, but again, it's like it can only go so far, and even if it's
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
great, it's like
I
there's still like
I mean, regardless of
choreography. Fuck.
what she's literally practicing or not, again, it
What
is
she's
a
saying, what she's
matter
saying,
of
yeah, she's saying it.
self-worth, like how she is viewing herself. Like if she's out here being like, yeah, you could just like sell your like image of clumsiness to older men. It's like uh, that's not good. That's not a good way to view yourself. That's
You
like
should even if you can survive on that, I don't think you should tell it to children. I think that's the bigger thing. I
I
don't
don't
think you
Well, I
should.
think you
mean,
should
first of all, you shouldn't really be portraying idol culture to children to begin with,
I
as
don't
like
think you
that's a
should be
fucking prospect.
I don't think you should be telling that to like yourself,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah,
that's
that's
not
the other
good.
thing. It's like, especially because it's like what my standpoint is like. That's just a extremely like pessimistic, negative viewpoint of herself at that point. Like I think that's not reality in the sense that for someone in that position, that's not like what they're really doing. Like they're devaluing even what they're doing to begin with.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's 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 very unfortunate, but yeah, that was pretty much my call out. In
Yeah, don't
the
become idols, kids.
don't become idols, kids.
It's
Could
not
become idols for the singing and dancing. But anyways,
If you want
dark.
to do that, become a fucking Twitch streamer. Um, you know what? My shout out's gonna be to Grand Blue Fantasy. You know, that stream this morning was pretty cool. There were a lot of cool announcements. There's new Belial skin for Granagita coming out when Belial's released. Belial looks really cool, reminding me a bit of Carmine from Under Night, so that's neat. That's gonna be fun for versus, and yeah, Granblue's on a pretty good track, I'd say. For my call out, fuck, what was I gonna call out? You know, I'm gonna call out I guess the Fall Guy devs, right? Not so much because of what essentially what their game has done, but more of like the fact that they tried to pass it off as like, you know, oh, we didn't expect our server capacity to not be able to handle this amount of players that we're getting. But meanwhile, it's like, you know, they did their promotion as a closed beta with like massive streamers and fucking like front page of Steam for days, and it's like none of these things were done without your permission, right? Like, I mean, granted, like you could say like, oh, maybe you know, Devolver had a hand in that more so than the developers. Like, they're gonna kind of have to, but it's like at some point something's got to give to where you need to. You can't, you know, just play the victim to people after you sold them on something and advertise like your game in the way you advertised it when you knew, and then not simultaneously increasing your capacity to something that big.
Yeah.
Like you can't say like, oh man, we really weren't expecting this. It's like you were, because that was your entire marketing campaign.
Right.
You
But
were
then
hoping for that, and your capacity couldn't even reach what you hoped for.
right,
Yeah.
right.
I
You're
mean,
just kind of making excuses at that point. Yeah.
they gave beta keys out to XQC. Like
Yeah. At that point, you need to
they had
have
a
like
they had a
server quality of like a newly launched MMO that'll be stable.
yeah,
Like,
they had a banner on the front page of Steam.
for days.
Humongous streamers are playing the game like early. It's like you had to have seen.
Yeah,
Even just
like
from
not
like
only
even internally, you should have seen pre-order number. Like
yeah, you should have
I
seen
don't know, man.
pre-orders. You should have seen the fact, like the amount of viewers that these people pull in or are pulling in. You should have seen the fact that you're actively seeking out these numbers to begin with, yet simultaneously, you know, not accounting for them for some reason. Like, there's a difference between, you know, a streamer just picking up a game and being like, there's a difference between, I guess the only thing that I can think of off the top of my head right now, I mean, there's a million different fucking examples of it, but I'll go with like, you know, PewDiePie, like single-handedly bringing back like Skate to life or whatever those years ago. And like like just him playing that completely fucking revitalized it. Or like whenever like any sort of streamer picks up like an old game with online servers that are still active or something like that. There's a difference between like that or like picking up like an indie game by themselves and you literally handing out beta keys to the largest streamer on Twitch and being like, wow, I can't believe people want to play this game. Like we all know that's not true. Like whether you didn't have the time
Just the
to really
infrastructure.
set it up, or just like the infrastructure is that complicated for you in general, like fine. But fuck the statement of like we didn't foresee this.
Yeah.
Like you planned in every other aspect except for your servers then. And you're saying you didn't
And the
see
servers
this
are
coming.
not exactly the least important thing, right?
Yeah, it's like you planned for this number, for these number of people, for this scale for your game, and literally everything other than your fucking servers. Like
Right.
that's it.
very.
yeah, I'd say that's pretty important when your game hinges on fucking like party games, and then you have people who are desynced, like winning party games because you can't tell where they are and about to grab you.
Pretty
And the game is fun. I will say that game's very fun when
Mhm.
it works. And I would also just add that, like, fuck the idea that there are people that are like, like, oh, cut them some slack and like, oh, they're getting review bombed. It's like, I saw a comment on a YouTube video that just said, well, how long do the servers have to be shit for it to not be considered a review bomb anymore? Because the game starts to become unplayable at points. Like,
Right.
yeah, it's fun when it's
I think
working, and
these
it
days
does
people are
work a
all
lot, but the moment you're in the game where you have to grab it's almost like flag football in a way, where you're like grabbing tails off of other people and you're putting them on. And it's like whoever has a tail by the end of it, like, is in.
Yeah.
If you don't have a tail, you're out.
I think
There are
also like
occasions all the time where like someone 30 feet away from you just grabbed you.
right. I think
So
people are just not, like, I mean, there's going to be negative reviews over this for obvious reasons because of the server issues, but like anytime these days, I think people kind of see like a couple of negative reviews, like more than I guess more than a couple of negative reviews, they're immediately just like, oh, you guys are just review bombing this.
no, I mean, like, this is like, apparently, like, it is getting like massively like negative reviews on like sites and shit, and it's like, well, yeah, because you wouldn't recommend someone pick up this game when like 3 or 4 of the major game modes don't really work consistently. Like, apparently there's a good chunk of people who just like don't find games or get constantly kicked. We've had pretty decent luck apparently then, where we've
Mm.
only been kicked from a handful of games when we're in a party
Yeah,
together.
even then we've gotten pretty unlucky sometimes where we're partied up and like two of us get in, but then one person gets kicked out, and they're like, "Oh, okay, I guess we're just not playing together. It's fine."
Yeah, we're either not playing together or we leave. And it's like, that sucks. And it's like, even that is like forgivable in a sense, but it's like when your games are also desynced and like this has been going on for a while, it's like, when that starts happening more than a few days, more than like a week, and there's really no indication of it getting better,
Right, right.
what the fuck do you expect people to do? Like, they're not just going to sit down and be like, yeah, I want everyone to buy this game so that the servers get even fucking worse and it becomes even more unplayable.
Right,
And they don't even realize that what they're buying into is essentially an even bigger work in progress. And they
mm,
probably don't understand that,
right, right,
especially
right.
with the amount of volume of people that are seeing this. Like, the average viewers of like someone like Ninja or XQC and shit like that. A lot of those people are definitely console gamers. They're not fucking looking up like all the information they can find on these fucking games.
Hmm.
And they're not going to see that there's probably not even going to see the reviews half the fucking time.
Hmm.
So it's like, you don't want people to run into that issue. You especially don't want it to be the case where someone buys it on Steam, the servers are so bad that they try and get in for like an hour, and then they get in, and then they try and play, and then they're trying to play for another hour, and then guess what? They can't refund.
Right, right. I don't know. It's very. I feel like they should have.
Servers are are a part of a game of the game, and I feel like a lot of people need to really
I mean,
understand that.
it's the most important part of the game, or one of the most important parts. Yeah, it's for a multiplayer game. It's like the most important
Yeah,
part.
you can have the best fucking game, like gameplay in the fucking world. If it's an always online game that's essentially like a battle royale
Yeah,
and there's desync and shit, then it's not a good game anymore. Like, because it doesn't work.
it's very very unfortunate. But yeah, anyways, near. Shout out to going
Wow. Man, I don't know. Everything sucks, dude.
That's not cool. Belly, that's not true. Belly was cool.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. I'm gonna shout out actually the what the fuck did they call it again? The Japanese like fighting game developer roundtable that happened a while ago.
Isn't it? They literally just call it
Pretty sure it was basically just called that.
yeah.
But it was pretty interesting. It's unfortunate that like a lot of it was very corporate. I guess for obvious reasons. It would be cool to see them like actually, I guess discuss like the differences between like their viewpoints in like the way they develop fighting games and stuff.
Hmm.
There were occasional moments here and there. There were a few pretty good quips. I don't remember the exact quotes, but Harada, gave Daisuke quite a bit of shit. For like the concept and idea of like simplifying fighting games,
Hmm.
and Harada was basically saying like he doesn't believe that that does anything for fighting games. He doesn't think that gets people in. He doesn't think that like retains players. Um, uh, like he doesn't think that it like he basically I think he said something along like the lines of no matter how much you simplify things, like the gap between the good players and the bad players is always going to be there. Like there's nothing you can do about it. Um, but I'm pretty sure Daisuke didn't say anything,
And
so
I
it's
don't
kinda
like
unfortunate.
the point is not.
Yeah, I
They
know.
just
But
they just need to like they just need to make it as much like how do I say this? It's like compare what it would take to say to someone, okay, open up you have a PC cafe, right? Let's just download, get a bunch of let's just, download or like lay down as is sort of the phrase in like Japan and like Japanese, Korean, Chinese, whatever, lay down copies of League, right? Or Fortnite or whatever, right? Or Rust, Apex, whatever it is, right? Across all these PCs, and get ready to have them, be able to play that game within, one day, 2 days, right? You'd be like, yeah, I mean, sure, that's a thing, that's possible, right? You just run across and install it, and then boom, it's there, right? You already have the mouse, keyboard, and everything, right?
yeah,
Compare that to somebody being like, all right, you have, I don't know, let's say you do have some consoles, but it's PC, right? Because PC is the most common thing, right? Okay, you have whatever, you have this like PC cafe or whatever that people come into. Um, Install Street Fighter 5 on all these PCs, and just have them ready to play by 1 or 2 days. You'd be like, what the fuck, right? And that's
yeah,
that's that's the key difference. It doesn't the simplicity or whatever. It doesn't matter, man. It's just getting people to play. Just getting people to play.
yeah,
Well, Tekken
yeah,
also has like some of the most legacy like
yeah. I mean, well, Tekken's
knowledge, and it's still
also like
extremely popular. Like,
Right. Because especially because it proliferated in arcades so much, right? And like people just went to arcades.
yeah, it's like the same with Persona 4 Arena.
Yeah, exactly.
That shit was
Literally
hella
phenomenal.
popular.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that the roundtable was really interesting. I hope they do more of them. It would be cool to see like I guess like actual like fighting game developers sort of influence other developers, like heads and stuff. Um, outside of just like a fighting game developer being like, "Oh, well, this game was popular, so we could do something like this," right?
Hmm.
It's more interesting to see like the directors and stuff talk to each other and see like the reasoning behind like mechanics and stuff, and then have them discuss that, right? uh
Hmm.
it's cool to see. um the announcements were neat too. um in terms of callouts, I don't know, man. There's a lot.
I
uh
feel like part of inadvertently due to me, your shout out sort of became a call out, but
yeah,
I apologize for that.
I
I
don't know.
think.
I mean, it's like that, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, fighting games are in a state, right? They
You get
are,
angry over the things you love, right?
yeah, they're changing.
Yeah.
Whether it's for the better or worse remains to be seen. But um, in terms of callouts, I'm not too sure. There have a lot of things that have frustrated me a lot the past 2 weeks. A lot of it's, you know, political, world events, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm probably just gonna call it. I feel like I've never really done like a straight up political call out, but like
Sorry
I
about you.
you know, I kind of want to just call out fucking Donald Trump, right?
Oh
Like
no, what's
he,
going on? Cool. Okay, keep going.
yeah, he's like legitimately having a fucking mental like meltdown these past like what, like fucking
You're with the hot takes.
like two
Anything.
like 2 months, right? Like these past 2 months, I feel like
What
me and
else?
Dark have talked about
Can I
this,
can I
right?
summarize? Can I summarize what you're about to say? I just want to say that the easiest way to describe the rage and whatever the frustration, blah blah, is that it's not even talking about his. And I do want to say this is probably going to be my first and only actual sort of major comment on him, but it's not even talking about him as a president. That's so far down the line. It doesn't even matter. Just as a human, living, like breathing human being with two eyes, a nose, and a mouth, right? He is not fit to do anything. As like
Yeah.
a living human being.
I
He's
mean,
just like
he's basically semi-retarded. Like, let's not mince words here.
and
Like, he's
well,
a
I mean,
fucking retard.
semi-retarded
Like,
aside, he's a
he's
sociopath.
just fucking
He's a
retarded.
sociopath. He's a
I,
like
I don't
he's
know. I don't know if
I don't
you
know if he's
guys.
a sociopath or he's just too stupid to understand. Like,
empathize with people. Too
and
stupid to
yeah, like
that could be a thing. But yeah,
I don't
anyway.
know if you guys watched the recent the Axios interview,
Yes.
where he like legit like goes fucking head empty mode, um, where God, it's just it's fucking lunacy, dude. So Donald Trump brings out these fucking graphs, right? Where he's like, oh, the United States is doing, we're the best in terms of COVID-19, uh, you know, like low death rate. And the interviewer's like, what the fuck you talking about? Like you're like insane. And so he
Yeah.
brings out these graphs,
Oh yeah,
and
and you can't do that.
the interview looks at him, looks at the graph, and he's like, oh, this is proportionate to case rates. Like,
Yeah.
why would you do that?
Because
Right?
that's unique to the virus itself. It's not unique to nations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That's true
uh,
for any country that has the
yeah,
virus.
it's
I don't-
unique to the virus itself, and it doesn't take into account the fact that the United States has like one of the largest fucking populations, if, like in the
Yeah, yeah,
world,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so the interview goes like, you have to go like per capita, right, to get an accurate like estimate of like how bad things really are. And Trump goes, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, you can't do that. Yeah, exactly.
can't
That was a
Fuck you talking
do
about?
that.
And then there's a later
do that.
point where Donald
That
Trump
was pretty good.
implies that South Korea is faking their numbers, right?
Yeah.
And the interviewer calls his bluff, right? He's like, "Are you implying that Korea's faking their numbers?" And like his mind goes blank, and he just goes, and he like waves his arms around. And it's like, this guy's the president of the United States. Like it's insane. It's like
I mean, he also implied that the explosion in Lebanon was a
yeah,
fucking
he
Israeli
said
attack,
that.
like
He said in
minute
the
one. So that was
press
pretty
conference
interesting.
that the the explosion in Beirut was an attack. Like you can't say that.
Yeah, that's very like obviously
I
even
mean,
if it
also
wasn't
it's
public.
wild that someone in government would be so bold as to imply that outwardly to begin with, even if it was true.
And by the most powerful man in the world,
It's
whose
crazy.
main job is to influence policy by the stuff that he says. So it's
Yeah, I mean, typically also they're pretty hush hush about any dealings with, you know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's wild. Like
it's been a thing.
I feel like, like I said earlier, me and Dark have talked about this, like, but like these past 2 months are like you know, when Donald Trump was elected, right? People were freaking out, right? They were like,
Mhm.
you know, the country's gonna break down. Um, you know, like shit's gonna start like fucking lighting on fire. He's gonna like fucking start committing like super fascism and
Yeah.
stuff. And you know, for the past like 4 years, you know, things haven't been great. You know, they've been pretty rocky, but they haven't been like the worst ever, right? But then these
Right.
past couple months come around, and it's like literally everything that people were like worried about is happening. It's
Right.
so fucking bizarre. Like,
Yeah.
you know, federal agents are being sicked on fucking American citizens. Like, there's rioting in the streets. Like, the president is trying to like openly discredit the fucking election. Like, eh, it's eh, like Looney Tunes, man. It's I can't believe like we're living in reality. And
Yeah.
the crazy thing is, like, all of this is completely overshadowing the fact that in my own country, our prime minister is like the not only the first prime minister to like violate like the charter of ethics, but like he's done it 3 fucking times, and he's currently like giving testimony. Like nobody's talking about that. Nobody in Canada even cares because America is like in flames. It's fucking crazy, dude. Um,
Um,
but yeah, like that's my call out. Just like the state of the world is so like
yeah.
fucked. It's hard to believe.
As I said,
I mean,
yeah,
hey man, a month into coronavirus, I was like, man, this is as crazy as it's gonna get.
on a lighter tone, I just want to say that this is why we started having the shoutouts and callouts last podcast too, because I feel like Nero would probably like
Dude,
spontaneously combust in the middle of an episode if he didn't do that.
it's been so insane. Just like trying to keep up with shit. Like
It's a firehouse for sure. Like when it rains, it pours has never been a more accurate phrase up until now.
yeah, it's
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 very unfortunate.
unbelievable.
Yeah. Very unfortunate, but I'm glad you got that off your chest. I guess with that, we are moving on to Toast.
So
Toast is yes. Shout us and call us, please.
a shout out
Yes.
the Hololive 5th generation. Yeah. Hololive is cool. It's
Everybody crossing their fingers. Please, no English VTuber inclusion into into
Please,
Hololive.
never ever.
Never ever.
Hololive's been keeping most of the world sane since the beginning of this year. Get on them.
Oh Jesus. All right, and
Yeah.
your call out.
I guess I'll call out the Kshatriya.
What?
What?
The Kshatriya. Or is it KS666?
I'm not sure what this is.
What the fuck are you talking about?
What? No, it's NZ666. My bad. NZ Neo Xeon. How dare you?
Oh,
How dare
Oh,
you?
I thought we were getting into some real weird
Oh,
shit.
yeah.
okay. All
Toast?
right.
Toast.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
NC6. Yes.
I thought you were just
NZ666.
calling out like a foreign government's like agency or something. To be honest,
No. Call out to the Kshatriya for taking out that Stark Jagon pilot. He deserved better. He would have won.
Okay.
No. What was my real call out? Capcom. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. There you
expected
go.
you would
There
say
you
that,
go.
yeah.
That's the real one.
Okay.
How dare you do that to Okami Mio? Don't think that you can tempt me with a $25 Monster Hunter World Iceborne deal that I got at Target. Also $15 for Code Vein. I bought it, but that doesn't mean I'll like it.
But you already bought it, so it's kind of like
Yeah, but it was on clearance, so they don't get my money. Target gets my money, right?
I don't think that's
I
so.
don't,
No.
I don't think that's how it works. But
What?
I mean,
anyway,
uh, technically, Capcom never really gets your money for buying
Good.
at Target
Good.
because Target gives them their money. Like,
I
yeah.
think Tiz, well, your anger against Capcom is understandable, and I can empathize and sympathize both with it. But yes, Capcom did do an unfortunately pretty poor decision making this time, and hopefully,
Two strikes. That's a 90-day ban, is it not? Yeah, it is.
I mean,
After
it's not really a
No, I thought 2 strikes was nothing, and then like 3 strikes and
no,
you just get banned.
no.
Yeah, no.
Two strikes prevents you from live stream. I
oh yeah,
think
yeah,
I'm pretty
two strike,
sure.
one strike is just like a mark. Two strikes puts some restrictions, and three strike is nuclear blast, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
But
one
Like
more
point system.
until she loses the entire channel and people are gonna get mad. Don't do
yeah.
that. I'm mad already.
Well, I mean, at some point, Capcom's going to turn around and realize, oh, wait, this is actually the worst publicity we could possibly give ourselves.
Yeah.
It might take losing a channel, but I mean, eventually that'll get reversed. So
Yeah, I mean, Hollow Life's not gonna let any of the channels get deleted. Like, they'll
yeah,
reverse those
like if
strikes.
they got like hit by 3, like immediately, like that shit would blow up. Capcom would have to like fucking apologize,
Yeah. I just feel
etc.
like the thing is because oftentimes, especially on YouTube, the damage gets done before everything gets fully settled, right?
Yeah.
It's not the other way around where it's like everything gets settled and then you get fucked or whatever, right? But because
Yeah.
of that, I feel like there might be an unfortunate future ahead for especially for agencies like Hololive and for streamers like this where uh because of this like preemptive nuking, because of this preemptive bombing, people will just start kind of falling apart. Like the structure will start disintegrating, and then there will be this one incident where almost like this, but maybe even more severe. Who knows, right? And later on, there will be a couple of people who just like boom up and leave, and then that'll just kind of disintegrate the rest, and that'll be very very unfortunate. But that's sort of what I'm afraid of, honestly.
I mean, that would be incredibly far-reaching too, because it's like
Yeah.
I
Because
even know
this is one
YouTube
of
channels that just like produce content, like news
four.
content,
Yeah,
stuff like that,
yeah,
and like gaming news content. But
yeah,
it's like I'll just even say the name Bellular, like the YouTuber, like he has people who work with him
yeah.
on the channel. Like they're a business, and he also
Right,
has this
exactly,
game studio. But
exactly.
like for the channel, they're a business, so it's like you can't just snipe a business because it's
Mm,
like, oh, they're live streaming their game, but they're also a business. It's like, yeah, technically a solo streamer is the same business. Like they can't just be making money and being like, oh well, I'm self-employed. It's like, well, you're not.
right, exactly. Oh,
Like
all
you're
right.
technically a solo
Yeah.
business, but whatever.
Yeah. But anyways, thank you, Toast, for your shout out and call out. And with that, we are pretty much done with podcasts. Oh, by the way, I just want to say one more thing. Um, uh, uh this is this has caught my eye when I was skimming through Anime News Network for like piece of news and stuff like that to list up for the news segment. Um, So for those of you who know like the recent like Pokemon like entries and stuff like that and some of the characters, if you guys know like Saito, who is like this like young like dark skinned like girl, Bea, I believe is the English name for her, right? For in Pokemon, who's like the
Yeah.
fighting Pokemon gym leader or whatever it is, right?
Oh, the fighting one, yeah.
Yeah, the dark skinned girl with
Yeah.
the sort of a cocky hair kind of color, beige cocky color.
Yeah.
Um, she's being voiced by Hikasa Yoko. What the fuck just happened? For those of you guys who don't know, Hikasa Yoko is like these days at least is like the quintessential like sexy One-san role voice, kind of like
Lager,
mature woman. Yeah, well, and now she's voicing Saito. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but okay.
Hmm.
wow.
Is that just an announcement, or have we actually like
That's an announcement. Here, let me.
heard anything about her doing it? Okay.
I can't believe Pokemon is finally big leagues now.
So,
What do you mean?
I don't know.
I mean, she did a burlier fighter character in Dimension W.
Well, I'm not saying it's not the fighter
I'm
thing, but
thinking,
I meant the young girl aspect of it. The young girl.
You
Although
know
she
you
did-
know what's
well,
super
she did
cool?
do Rokubu. She did do Rokubu, right? The one with the basketball lollies or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I guess she's up to that.
You know what's super cool? They replaced Kitamura Eri as Bea. How do you do that?
She did. Oh shoot.
In
Wait,
what is it? The Twilight Wings one.
Oh yeah, in the
That
net
was
anime.
Kitamura Eri,
Oh
and they're like, all right,
wow.
let's put in
Kitamura Eri
Yokai
got
Kasa.
shoved over by Kasuyoko. That's pretty
Can't do
wild.
that.
Although probably Kasuyoko does have a better like younger girl voice, but I mean both of them haven't. I don't think they've done a younger girl voice since I want to say probably 5 years ago. It's probably the last time they did it, so it's very interesting. But that was just
What was Yokai Kasa's last not Seraphim role? Was it freaking Mio? I think it was Mio, right?
I'm not sure. I'm pretty bad at timelines. Sorry. You might look on our Wikipedia page.
Korewa Zombie Deska was 2012. When was
Rokubu was
K-On?
after Korewa Zombie Deska, right? Maybe it was
Wasn't it? I'm pretty sure.
It-
No, it's before. It's 2011. What?
Oh, really? Okay. Okay. Well, anyways, I do want to wrap this up real quick. That was just a real quick thing I want to get out of my head space. But anyways, thank you all for listening. Our kind of triumphant return to actual reviews instead of roundtable discussions every day. But we'll be doing a couple more of these, head into previews and see how we kind of set up, whether we're going to be able to do more reviews right off the bat or whatever's going to happen. We'll face it head on. We have plenty more roundtable discussions that we have lined up, so we can do that as well. But yeah, if you like what we do here, you can follow us and check us out on twitch.tv/4PlayerAnimecast. That's with the number 4, where we record our live podcast every other Saturday starting from 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, talking about the latest and greatest in Japanese animation, media, anime, manga, light novels, visual novels, web novels, so much more. Check us out here. Check us out on our VODs, highlighted our different episodes, obviously. You can check us out on here on Twitch or on YouTube. We have VODs available, whichever format you choose. Check us out also on our SNS social media updates on Facebook and Twitter, where we talk about, again, when the podcasts are going to come up, what we're going to talk about, so on and so forth. So check us out on our updates there. Check us out here. And as always, we'll see you next time.